All right, so we're here. I'm just looking through stuff on the Discord for Xirtus Tartary. If you guys have been paying attention, we've got a pretty big Discord going with lots of people, and it's more and more people have just been showing up all the time recently. These are
We've
just
got a ton of people flowing in lately. I mean, it's getting
these are
packed.
all the new people in this month, which is pretty good. Welcome. So that's cool. And so just so you guys know, when you get to the Discord, you've got this bit where our robot tells you welcome and that they love you. And once they tell you that, they're also like, you can go to the left and see all the categories because we've got crackpot chat and quackpot chat and speakeasy, like there's all kinds of places to be. And people are sharing all kinds of information about all kinds of things. But we have research. Oh man, we have a radio chat, which is even going right now. And you can see Analog is sharing videos. In fact, I'm going to just jump in for a second.
Let's just jump in there.
Hey guys, we're just really quickly going to jump in and just say hi on the radio to you. How are you doing? How's it going? Well, we're just looking at your thing here.
Are they? I think they're streaming Star Forts. They're just kind of rolling around Google Earth. Yep.
Well, we'll let them do their thing. But the thing is, you can get into the radio chat. It's actually a video chat now. It went great. Thanks, Discord. And they talk all about it. And there's people sharing videos. We even have a play. If you guys are going to get all weird and, like debate, we have a spar area so you can spar about your thoughts. But usually people are nice. We have places where they just like, I like this song. It's probably about this and that. And biogeology research, the research section obviously is where things get pretty cool because we have all sorts of information about health to giants to things that we've just dug up recently. And if you these are some pretty serious pages. So if you're looking for inspiration and you're trying to find out something, like there's a lot going on here in the Tartary radio chat. One of the people who we've talked to before from the radio chat is back with us, Peirtoreme and Barry Sinewaves. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, nice to be back. Appreciate you having me on. I'm pretty excited about today. But yeah, great intro there. The server has been hopping. We've had a lot of awesome people coming in. It just seems like it's really the last place still out there in social media where there's really no trolls. I mean, it's literally they wouldn't survive there. So you come in there, and if you can't handle the truth, people typically leave. But we get stuck with quality, not quantity. That's what we go for. So yeah. Absolutely.
Although after a couple of years, the quantity is pretty big too. It's pretty crazy how many people we've got, and the amount of stuff they're posting is. You're right. It's the quality of it is crazy. That was the point when you see all these paragraphs of data. You're like, this is all research stuff, and people are still sharing their ideas and bouncing back and forth. It's still a place where you can feel comfortable to do that, but it is very serious, which is nice.
Oh, yeah. You go on there at any point in the day, we've got people all around the world on there, so you're always going to get a conversation. I mean, you've got probably over 100 different channels you can go in, 3 or 4 different voice chats. I mean, I've seen all the voice chats going before recently. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's an awesome place. Yeah.
Yeah, we started to try to divide up the voice chat a bit because there's so many people. So if you want to do you can watch videos together while talking about them. You can be listening to music in the radio chat. You can be doing there's different research radio chats too. So if you need to break it up into things, I mean, it's become kind of a study zone. I mean, it reminds me of the libraries when they added 3D printers in the early 2000s. It's it's a nice little virtual space we got going. And now that everyone's got stuck inside, I feel like we had already been doing this, so we have kind of a mechanism for people to do that.
Yeah, it's a catalyst center. I mean, people kind of ping off each other, and it speeds everything up everywhere, and it's always good intellectual honesty. Everybody's always there to provide honest feedback on people's situations, and I mean, it's awesome. It's really the only place I hang out on social media, literally, and it's about all I can handle nowadays, real people. And because it's not out there anymore. I mean, it's everything else is like a trophy case or some kind of just noise. I mean, you go there, you get real conversations. People, you really care about the people that are in there because you just come to know them. And I don't know, it's cool. But yeah, anyways. Yep, yep.
I'm also sorry. I was also popping out the radio chat from the YouTube channel because even though we can see your chat, sometimes it misses some stuff. So I'm gonna make sure I see more of your stuff this time. As you guys
Gotcha.
are commenting, if you have questions for Barry. Now, I was going to also say Barry's, like he just said, he's been doing a lot of research, and the Discord's been getting really heavy. There's a lot of stuff going on. So I don't know how much we're going to be able to cover like every single thing, but we're going to try because he's gotten a lot of research and he's actually prepared a pretty good thing. So I just want to kind of let you basically say what you've been looking at since the last time we've talked a bit, and then go into what you're, go for it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So gosh, I think we met up 2, 3 months back. I've had a pretty crazy summer. I've kind of been lost off deep experience, I guess. Soul growth is a good way.
Oh, I forgot to ask, how are you doing, health wise?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, health wise, I mean, great. I've actually never felt healthier than, this year right now. So it's kind of funny what they're saying is a sick world and, all this fear out there. I mean, I feel absolutely healthy and happy.
Yeah,
Now,
right.
now emotionally, I've definitely been dealing with some, I think everybody's been dealing with quite an emotional roller coaster this year. So it's not easy, but in terms of just physical health, willpower, health, the ability to make choices, strong choices, to get out of old routines, like this energy is great for that. Like this is new beginnings, start over, conjunction. Jupiter, Saturn are coming together, 360 degrees stacked on top of each other in Capricorn. That's cardinal physical action, movement, Earth right there. So deep Saturn, deep negative sign, deep absorption. So I mean, this is a time of transformation. It's yep. Yeah, so
It seems like
don't get caught up in the fear out there, everybody. You know that. I mean, it's gonna break you down, and it's eat you up, spit you out.
it's true. We've been looking at so many people that are emotionally beaten by this situation, and like I don't think everyone wants to come to terms with how serious that is. But like the ailment, the solution has been worse than the ailment, and a lot of people can't get
Yeah.
outside to express themselves. But so what are you doing
Uh,
to channel that, and like what have you been researching?
Sure, sure. So really, I've been looking at. I went right back to basics. I mean, when you end up finding out in life that you've been told a lie by somebody that's supposed to be your teacher or supposed to be your leader, you should question everything from that point on, from that person. I mean, you should always forgive, but you should always kind of do your own research at that point. That's what logic says. I mean, you fool me once, whatever, and that second time though is on you. You gotta do your own work everywhere. So I went right back to basics pretty much. I've over really the last 10, 12 years I've been on a big journey in the stars, just kind of trying to wrap my mind around what is going on around us, like what the stars are, what the planets are, what are all these bodies around us, what are we. It's really led me to light and sound. So I've kind of understood now that we're in sound world. We are where, if you think of the sound barrier when it gets broken, if there was a jet going really fast in the sky, it kind of burst, and this sonic boom comes out, and it almost drops this body of sound. So this whole entire system that we exist in, or we perceive from right here, in my opinion, is a sound body system. So the unseen light part that pretty much makes a choice, uh, that's represented almost by the visible stars from our perspective. So that's pure willpower, pure choice. So the system that gets created from that pure willpower is the sound body that drops down, is our system. So everywhere you see land or sea or animals on the land or fish in the sea, these are all manifestations of the stars in those areas and the properties of them, and that family or dome of light. And all these domes of light mixed together in this system of sound, they're all dropping their sound babies here. That's pretty much what this system is. So When that happens, you get something called a mark. So you've got the mark is the symbol. So this is why each letter, for example, isn't just a trivial letter. I mean, these are all sacred symbolic objects. I mean, when you get right down to it, every letter is much older and goes back, I mean, goes back to the beginning of the written word. So the written word, excuse me, comes from the spoken word. The spoken word gave life to the written word, and the written word gives birth to the living word. So we're right now in that transition of taking the written word and we're supposed to be living it. So you're supposed to be able to, once you can write it down, you can share the information. If you can teach people to read, you can spread information to people. And then when they all can read it, they can all collectively understand the concepts and the deeper meanings, because when you get right down to the Bible, you're looking at a multi-dimensional book. Depending upon the key that you have, which is your perception, and is going to be the message that you get out of the Bible. This is the show and tell system. So when you show that you're ready, you get told the next step. And it's not going to ever be any other way. This is very much you get given what you're ready for. You're always going to have exactly what's perfect for you and what you need. And it's a blessing that it's that way. I mean, I don't know.
It's kind
It's
of like
even when you're in
I was
even
gonna
when
say
you're in tough
it,
times, I was gonna say, like, it's a blessing, you know. It's like a learning experience right there. But go ahead real quick, man. I didn't mean to cut you off.
sorry, I was no, I cut you off. I was just thinking like Akashic record and the ability to create symbols, that's where it becomes that, the box saga thing. Because if we make our own symbols for people, then they have your mind's constantly trying to make sense of it. And
Yeah,
that in a world where nothing makes sense is really essential right now.
absolutely, absolutely. So the mark has a beginning. So if we think of sound and light, light is unseen. Think of your thoughts, think of your intention, think of your intuition. Those are all things that you can't see in physicality with your physical sense system. Those are things outside of that and inside of that. So they're kind of the surrounding. So when you get right down to it, sound is going to be the movement of the unseen system of light going to its 180-degree opposite position, because whenever you're going to cast a reflection and become the next object, you do it in the position of the 180. So you go the furthest from yourself, and then you make your jump from there, from the 180 position. It creates the letter D. It makes a diameter through the circle. D means through. We'll get to that today when we hit D. But so sound, when spoken, occurs in a certain area in your mouth. So for example, I always love to use K because it seems very obvious to me when you go to make a k, k sound. It's right at the very top of your mouth. You can feel where that is. You can sense it. You can think about where that is in your mouth. You can feel the movements. A is right in the center of your mouth, like the A in mama, like ah, ah. That is right, ah. That is right in the middle at a center point. That's why when we begin with A today, A is the expression of an angle, one choice. So it's that beginning. So A has its form, its mark, for a certain reason. So when we look at the letter A in the beginning today, we're looking at something that is designed that way and given to us that way for us to know and to understand. And anything short of taking your time and understanding each letter is you're selling yourself short, because there's a lot there. There's a lot inside of each one of these symbols. I mean, we could spend hours on these. I'm only going to probably try to do 20 minutes to 30 minutes per letter on this. So, and today we're going to try to get through A through E. But,
yeah, right. So I was about to ask about that. So obviously, like if you were to be doing this forever, you'd buy a bunch of vowels, like in Wheel of Fortune. But which vowels are we? A through E is already two vowels that you're gonna, it. the consonants are the fundamental shift, or how important are, because A and E are actually pretty similar in ways. Like, what is the why are you picking them? I guess I wanted to explain to people.
Sure. Yeah. So the vowels are very very important. Obviously, so if you think of where they come from the stomach, from the belly. Belly. That's got the sound of energy right there, belly. So it comes from the cave of creation inside of you. So all of the vowels travel up your throat. So they go through that long extended phase, and so they get length. Vowels are time. They are literally the time that impregnates the logos or the surroundings. So the consonants are all formed in the mouth. So the mouth is very much an organ with the teeth, the tongue, the cheeks, everything in there is very much a system for making each consonant. So if you don't have good teeth, if you're not going to be able to pronounce things in a certain way, or you're going to struggle because you're going to lack the physical tools that are supposed to be there to be able to break that letter a certain way and to get it to crash or to get it to roll or to get it to be smooth. Or if you're, everything, the consonants are of the mouth. So it's really, the consonants are what everything's built upon. So that's, if you think of the mouth, you put food in the mouth, you eat. If you think of, it goes in the belly to create the vowel system. So you've got, and that's when it gets down here, it's past tense, you ate it. Ate is space, and ate is the past tense of eating. So the number 8 is very much the past tense of eating. So we get this entire space through eating. You wouldn't have an outside or an inside if you didn't take that first initial consumption of something, that breath, whether you're breathing food, whether you're breathing water, it doesn't matter. I mean, when you're taking something and you're making an inside and an outside. If the act of making an inside gives an outside. So before that inside, there was just whatever there is. And then when you take that inside, when you make that mini black hole, when you absorb light, you all of a sudden create an inside. So we are very much all mini black holes absorbing sound. So we absorb, and that's what a black hole is. A black hole is an ear. It absorbs light. Light is energy, information. It's harmony. It's the Father. It's what everything is. Its batteries not included. The batteries are the light. That's inside. So you've got to earn that. URN. Saturn, right there. I mean, it's ashes in the urn. I mean, the system of Earth, when you get right down to it, I know I'm tangenting a little bit here, but it's the ash system. So ash is the driest substance without water. And ash is a very sacred object. And it's we're gonna get out of that. But anyways, so
I thought I'd pop up a bit of the Cyrillic alphabet just as a backup.
Nice.
So we've got some of the
I love it. So let me jump in. I'm just going to jump into A here, and we'll get going on this. And I'm pretty excited. So I'm really going to focus a lot on the mark on this, the sound. We can do that when I'm presenting it. I can go into, obviously the sound that A can make isn't just one sound. So, but we live now in a linear perception timeline. So we have to break things down one thing at a time and then put all the pieces together to form a concept. So, we'll break this down. So I'm going to, hopefully everybody can see me pretty well here, but in the background, I'm going to have the letter A up here. And I just want to show you right away. I mean, now there is a perfect way to draw an A. So every letter has a certain angle, and when you put it, we break everything down. Everything in sound, when it gets absorbed onto the cross. So that's the system of the 4. So the cross is an object, and then it's 3 phases of its sun: the rising, noon, and the set. So, and then the fourth object, this would be, if you think of Neptune's trident, Neptune rules the day, that 24-hour period. This is what the trident is. This is Neptune's connection to Earth. That center pole right there is that central pillar. And then you've got the three up above the one single trident pole right there. So you've got the sun rising, you've got high noon, and then you've got the set. So the 4 position right there is very much the meridian. It's where you marry the D in. The D is through, so it's where you marry through. So you marry through right down the middle, and then you split out into a left and right female duality system here. So when we look at the letter A, we need to think of a couple things. First of all, the proper angle that the A should go, out here at. And it's 30 degrees. The reason it's 30 degrees is because A, when you get through its symbolic beginnings, you need to go to the stars, you need to go to the zodiac. And Aries right there kicks things off on the cardinal cross. Cardinal, why it's considered, why we start there is because the cardinal system is the physical system. So Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer, I'm sorry. Those are all the closest to the Earth systems. Those are all cardinal signs. So those are all will and action. So those are all very much spirit and moving in all three ways here. So you've got will and action, which is the cardinal movement. You've got fixed, which is the feeling or the watery movement, which is really consciousness. And then you've got thinking, which is the logos or the organization of the chaos into things you can perceive pretty much in aspects of the creator. So when we break down the letter A starts right here. This is why in some systems, I mean, really in English, we don't see this too much, but there's a lot of different, if you hold down the keyboard and you look at all the different variations of A, you've got the halo on top of the A. You've got a couple other situations too. So this point right here on a circle represents the zenith. So this tells us right here, the zenith, this is the zodiac, okay? So you've got, when A right here is made, it appears at the zenith and it comes from a conjunction. So for the first movement to happen, this is what happens. Right there. So you go around the circle and it hits itself. And when it hits itself, it can't go through itself. So it reflects off of itself. Now, this reflection is a certain angle. And this is where you get the transition from light to sound. There's a choice made. There's an aperture. There's a certain hole, a dilation. There's a certain angle chosen of light. So 30 degrees was the angle chosen to represent space and time and light in our system. So if you look at the zodiac, you've got, and if you take the letter A and you make 12 of them in a row, you get a spider web. And that's the zodiac. Those are 12 30-degree spaces. 12 times 30 is 360. That completes the 360-degree circle. So each one of those, this is why you start with a space. So in order to create, you need space in the beginning. So you can't do anything without space first. In order for there to be space, the creator has to move out of the way to create space in order to create with. So that's where the vacuum would come in, the original vacuum. So I would say everything was probably removed except for the original germ, which is probably that black goo system, which is probably deep down what our bone marrow system is tied to, which is probably what they try to poison through all the foods and, get to our blood. And they're really trying to just get there. We've been talking a lot of fungi germs lately, so I've got all that on my head too. But let me get back to this here. I'm sorry. So 360 degrees, this is where this happens at. This is where A is chosen. So 30-degree angle right here is a unit of measure. So that's a 3 on its digital root. You've got 3 equals movement. 3 is very much a bird flying. So you've got A 3 on its side right there is, just imagine seagulls in the sky movement, that air movement creating a pressure bubble. And it's all going to depend upon the choice. So that's why A, Aries is very much like that leader. So it all begins with Aries, and many of the go all the way back to the Chaldean. Now that's going to transition through time. When you go through the procession of the equinoxes, there's going to be signs that act as the Aries of the time with this kind of flavor in it. Instead of always having that cardinal fire lead us, we go through the 12 different flavors. And thank God, because we'd be one type if we didn't. So the letter A, right away, let me kind of erase this. And so we've got, it starts with a 360-degree conjunction at the top. You go from 1 to 2. So you go from a point first. And what happened first? You created the 0, right? Everything exists within the circle. So when you went around the cross and you made a circle, you created pretty much a water molecule. Everything needs feeling. Feeling is the fixed cross. It's always there. It's required for consciousness. So every letter that's going to appear in sound would need to do so inside of the circle. So this is where you get the sound barrier. So the sound barrier is very much the water barrier. So the moon, when you look out, we actually exist between the Earth and the moon. We're in that annular space in between the two. We're not inside the Earth, we're on its surface. So that would put us in between the Earth and the moon, which would make us in a sound system. We're pretty much in a pipe. When you get right down to it, we've got, like, we're in between the number 11, and really it's the letter U when you put a charge underneath it, or like a U magnet bar. That's the ground, that's the Earth system right there being the charge. And that's why U is soul. And that's why, because it comes from Aquarius, which is the 11, which is all the life walking around reflecting via Leo, and then you add that U underneath on the 11, and that makes soul. So anyways, U's down the road. So A, you go from 1 to 2. And this is also why the clock starts at 12. So you drop in, and really Aries should be 0. Taurus should be 1 when you look at it. So 12 serves as the 0 in 12. So pretty much you're going to have a 30-degree angle come down is the first move. And then something happens when you get about right around here. You get a crossbar forming. So this crossbar is very special right here. So what I think is happening here is you have a diode. So you have, on that first move, you have a positive and you have a negative, which is the male and the female coming down. And then you have salt bridge right there. So right there, you would have pretty much, you hit a certain distance where it was perfect to arc through and connect. And that very much right there, that crossbar, if you did a bunch of those, my drawing's horrible here, but this would make a dodecahedron, which would be the 12 letter A's around. This shape in the middle would be a dodecahedron, which is a 12-faced polygon, is a good word, I guess. So that's really where we exist, is on the salt ridge. So you have a plus minus system going around, which is the zodiac system of the alternating plus minus signs. And these are all letter A's. And this is very much, we know about spiders not weaving here. And the spider tide and symbolism weaving its webs, and definitely the Hopis, when they said there'll be spider webs in the skies in those days, and we look up and, we see all the chemtrails and shit up there. So we know that really the etheric net, the original lines, when spirit went to remove itself, it left a center point. And then what happened is this pressure system caused all these divisions of space right here. And when these divisions of space got spread out, it left very thin lines that were connected still to the all. And this is what we see, in my opinion, during eclipse. So this is why, I mean, we're behind bars. So when you look and there's an eclipse and you can see a shadow on the earth, and it makes these lines, and they either go perpendicular or longitude, latitude, you can see that we're behind a bar system. And this really, that bar is what gives us life. So that bar is this invisible sulfuric gas, almost, in a way, that has the ability to absorb light, and then it makes this weird oil system somehow inside of us. And it works with our spine and brain. And all I know is the more you just be a good human, the better it comes online. There's no magic to it. You just be a good damn person. That you just be balanced everywhere. I mean, that's the only way you can do it. I mean, you can't fake it either. You get given what you're ready for, and it's one of those things that you don't have to know how to do it. You just have to trust, really, and you just have to listen to the inside. So the inside's telling you what to do all the time. So salt bridge, this is a galvanic circuit. So the letter A is very much that beginning. So it all begins with an A. So what do we have in the letter A? We have 3 straight lines, okay? So we also have a capital A and we have a lowercase a, but we're going to stick with capital A still right now. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. Okay. So we've got 3 straight lines. So once again, we see the 3 again. 3 is symbolic and the creator expressing itself in the 3 modes. Okay, action, thought, and feeling. So we have 3 there. The clock starts at 12. 1 plus 2 is a 3. 3 is movement. When you look at A, you're very much looking at space. A short A in mama is space. So that's right in the middle of your mouth. It's the center point. That is the point that makes the decision. So everything outside of the center is duplicated. That's the reflection of the decision that was made at the center point. A is the chooser. A makes the choice. I mean, we all have A inside of us. We all have Aries in a certain position inside of us. We all go through that shift in the heavens, and it's just part of all of our internal leadership system, all of our abilities to make choices. I mean, it's the sun exalts in Aries, so that tells you that the system of visible light, the system of heat, whatever the south is, because remember, this all begins at the south. This begins at the zenith. When you break this down, the north is on the bottom. You've got the east over here at the ascendant. You've got the south and you've got the west. This is the land of reflection. After you're done the day, after you're done high noon, it's always hottest up at high noon up here. So A is very much that beginning, that warmth, that initial spring burst of heat coming in to pretty much let Taurus start doing its thing with the body coming up. So
it's got that roof-like thing too, like a snow roof.
It does. So A is, I mean, it's also the mountain. So if you look at the crossbar, you're really looking at the snow line too. So that's really hard to see, but let me do a bigger one here. So, if you got, you pretty much have the snow line right there, which, this is the life-giving system. So the snow is what actually causes the trickle of life to come down. That cold area up there is actually what is life. So without this fresh water source right here, without this whole entire system, you wouldn't have anything to catch the magnetism of the new day coming in. I mean, those mountains, without them, you wouldn't have something pushing up a 45,000 foot ceiling above you for pressure to be in, for you to be a certain pressure being. We have the noble gases inside of us, and pressure really matters to us. If you ever look at a barometer, the thing's only got like 6 degrees of sway. It says rain over here and good weather over here, and that's like a tiny slice of whatever the hell pressure is. So that should tell you that pressure was pretty much a pretty important part of how we pretty much go for our consciousness here, how we perceive things. It's very vital. That's why certain areas feel differently. If you go out west and you go into those big mountains out there, I mean, you're in a big playground. You know, you're in a very big space. You have a very high ceiling. You have a very deep charge. You have a, you can get drained as well. I mean, whenever I go out to mountaintops and I go right on that ridge, you know, 10, 12,000 feet up, and I'm just sitting there, I can feel the charge going right through me, sucking through the earth. I mean, this is the tip, the spot that has the most earth underneath it. I mean, it's pulling in the biggest charge, it's catching the longest waves. I mean, this is a very intense area. If you ever take somebody up there with you, hold their hands, both of you stand on the ridge, bare feet, and then cross your arms and hold, I guess, your left to their left and your right to their right. And then you can feel this loop going through you, and it's unreal. I mean, I've done it a couple times, and it's really it blows you away. You just know that we know so little, pretty much, is what you end up discovering. So you've got the snow line here. Okay, you've got now a real big thing I want to get to here with A is the two shapes in it. So on the top of A, you've pretty much up here, when you draw a correct A, you've got an equilateral triangle up top. Okay, so you've got, well, I take that back. This is going to be a 30-degree angle, and this is going to be, those are each going to be 60-degree angles. Okay, and then down here, you're going to be left with a trapezoid, okay? So this trapezoid that's left down here, you've all seen it before. You know, it's the pyramid, you know, with the all-seeing eye. I mean, this part up here is unseen. So this part is the unseen part. This trapezoid, look at that word, trap, a zoid. If you look up zoid in the dictionary, I think you get part. I think that's what that means. So you trap the parts down here. So this part right here, that is the sound system down there. That's where the sound body exists right there. So this part right here, that's the will or the choice system up there. So that's the part, because up here you've got the connection to the one point. Down here, you only get connections to the two pillars down here. That's all you get down there. There's your 11. You know, you can also play with Gemini right there, and you know, we know how much Gemini and Sirius and how much of that we've got playing in our system right now. It's crazy. I mean, that whole entire paradigm is kicking and screaming, and it's like the little children that don't want to go in from recess and let the next grade come play. That's pretty much what's going on right now with the energy coming from Gemini and the way people are choosing to use it.
That is interesting. The symmetry. So what do you think that's about with the capital A having perfect symmetry, but the lowercase a being kind of like a C, which I've always, I mean, I know that's crazy, but I find C's to be really surreptitious letters. They're always pretending to be the letters, you know?
Right. So I broke these angles down here, and what's really interesting is this angle is going to be 120 degrees. So the top of the trapezoid are actually Venus and Jupiter, because those are your two trine systems. So Jupiter is really going to be that 120 degree trine energy, and then you're going to have the sextile that's going to go at that 60 degree Venus area, because if you look at Venus, she's never within 60 degrees of the sun, you know, just as Mercury is never within 30. So That's why Loki very much rules the play and the experience in the space, because he's the one doing the plus and minus within the 30 degrees. Venus isn't, everything else isn't doing that. They maintain typically a certain flavor through the manifestation phase. Mercury will go back and forth during its manifestation phase because it's very close to the sun. It goes very close on its declination. It's got a very, very fast. It's that, there's Vulcan too. Vulcan's only 19 days around the zodiac. So Vulcan's going to be quicker than the moon, which means Vulcan probably exists in between the moon and Earth. And that puts Vulcan probably the etheric sphere of what we call our, pretty much our air system. The annular space in between the moon and Earth is probably going to be something called Vulcan, and it's going to be this trapped etheric gas system that appeared at this density wave in this area, and it gives rise to pretty much us or these type of vehicles for light to play with, which are considered very delicate and rare, and they're fought over. There's a big battle for, I guess, these meat suits here. So on this trapezoid, you've got, excuse me, you've got pretty much where we're trapped. And these bottom angles I wrote down, let me see, 60 degrees, okay? So, and if you look at it, you've got 12, 12, 6, 6. So you very much got an 18 over here, which is a 9. You very much got the same on the other side. And this gives us right here, the 18 plus the 18 would give us that 36 system. And if you look, the 36 is very much that a solar return to the exact zodiac spot when you were born. So it would take 36 years for you to see, your exact ascendant degree at your time of year when you were born. So pretty much you have to go through this whole trapezoid cycle. So down here, this 6 right here, and this 6, it's very interesting. I also see the 666 system with the carbon down here quite a bit. And 18 is really just 3 6s. And the Trinity appears everywhere. You always want to break things down into 3s to see what the creator's doing, because that's how the creator works. The creator always uses a 3. That's why looking at factoring, to make all the facts on the Tor, a Tor is a best friend, Tor is the cross. So a factor, a times, a multiplication, be fruitful and multiply, 3 times 3 equals 9. And we know how sacred 9 is here. 9 is all our shapes. It's everything. It's the whole entire system. All right, let me get back to, okay, so on this crossbar, this is where you get the sine wave system happening. Okay, so you've got pretty much the 8 appears here. This is the 2 hemispheres. You've got pretty much 2 Pokemon balls appearing on the salt bridge right here. Or Dragon Ball Z, whatever you want to call it. Z would be good because that would go with the trapezoid. So anyways, this center A bar, you can see this on land masses too, because all of these principles are principles of sound, how ah appears in this system. So there's another system where ah comes from, which is the choice to utter that sound. And that's it. We just have to break it down into all of its parts, because you can't, it's like trying to give somebody the idea, imagine us being on a telepathic system, and I can send you the idea of Christmas, and I can pack in everything that there is about Christmas in there. Pretty Christmas lights, I can put Christmas tree, Christmas cookies, I could probably write out 100 pages on Christmas and give that to you. But if we just had the ability to pass everything that's ever been built on the idea of Christmas to each other real quick, and you could just experience that in a flash, that's pretty much what this is. Each letter is a flash, is down in a micro instance of its expression on the other side. So there is sound. Sound comes from somewhere. So everything that you utter comes from an unseen realm that is the quickest. The quickest realm is that one unseen system up here. So these are invisible bars right here. You can't see the top bars up there. You can't, this is right here. This would be Polaris. So that's the center of the circle. You know, this is why the, you know, ascendant line, you know, it's unseen and then the line appears. That's why you get this symbol appearing right here. That's an on button, a power button. So this right here, that's one radii. That's one, this right here, the whole thing, that's one diameter. Die, the word die's in there. Meter. I mean, die by measure. So you can't, in order to come here to be measured, it's, you have to. In order to do this, we had to agree to all the terms. You know, it's just, it's like using someone's playground. You can't, creation gets tampered with and somebody starts to call it their creation. You know, that's when you start to get into some, you know, questions of, okay, we're going to step in here and we're going to do something about this, because I guess, you know, if we're allowed to manipulate it now, I mean, I can manipulate it back to the original creation as well. So, I mean, and that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, there's not going to be, you know, any Jesus on a white horse coming in the sky. It's not, nobody's coming to save us. I mean, we put ourselves here in these times to do this work because we're the only qualified beings that were this able. I mean, we're the only hope it's got. I mean, and that's a little scary right now looking around at, you know, but I have a lot of hope. I'm not a big fan on hope. I'm a big fan on doing. So, but, you know, people, it's deep down, it's in them, it's in all of us, you know, that itch to change, and it's really there. I'm not going to get too sappy on all that stuff right now, but let me show you a couple more things real quick with A. Let me see here. So I've got, I wanted to tell you that okay, that's what I figured out. So these, somehow I had the bottom degrees, I had 120 plus 120 plus 60 and 60. So that's a 360-degree system down there. So that trapezoid, you also have a circle hidden there in the 360-degree aspect of its angles. So on that top section, the unseen part, when I added it up, I think I had originally 180 degrees. So I had, and if you look at what is 180 degrees, it's an opposition. It's a plane, you know, it's the letter D, it's a diameter. It's very much through. So wherever we came through from is that unseen part up there, from the one system into the, and the beginning of the two right there is unseen. So you don't actually see it until it hits the crossbar point where the salt bridge is born right there. So that's where it goes down and we build the pillar system that are seen. But the pillars actually extend invisibly to the center point right there. And I'm sure they know about this, you know, the shakers and the movers. I mean, they probably stationed all their perfect little limestone grids right up those lines, and I'm sure they've built super highways where silica human beings can drive at a certain mile per hour that generates a certain type of field that, who knows? I mean, I really don't, but I know that it's very real and very part of everything around us. So
I like also just that the alpha, you know, like in terms of the Russian alphabet or Cyrillic alphabet, it's virtually the same. I mean, this is at a handwritten angle, but you can see that of all the letters, especially A is the same characteristics, and it keeps with the rules.
All right, let's see here. So, okay, so if you also, okay, this was a really big thing I found about the letter A right here. I wanted to share with you real quick. So if you take A, try to do this big, and you so remember, we're coming in at the zenith up here. So its opposite position, we would be down, we would pretty much be on the nadir down here. So this would be the north position down here. So if we started the point up here, we would get something like this. And then if you notice, what do we have right there? We have the Seal of Solomon, or we have David's Star of David. We've got pretty much the double tetrahedron that we live in is right here. So you've got the head of the human, you've got the arms of the human, you've got the legs of the human. This, my friends, right here is the unseen side. That's your tail. We all have a tail, believe it or not. And this is the part of the A when it's inverse that you can't see, that's represented by the sacrum, which is right here. So down in your sacrum down there, it extends out. If you've ever looked at that thing too, it's crazy looking. It looks like a horn with different intersecting holes in it, and it goes from a square to a triangle to make some weird 7 system thing. And yeah, anyways, so this shows you right here, you've got very much the pattern of the human. So, and obviously the circle would be the sound barrier to contain the star. You could have your star in a jar theory right there, whatever you want. I mean, you've got your pentagram or your frickin', I guess pentagram would be 5, so I'm a little off there. But yeah, Star of David right there. 2 A's inversed on each other. That's all you got to do, and you've got the Star of David. So you should definitely know that it's a sacred symbol for a reason. If you do an A on its side, you've got vision, the eye, looking out right there. You've got a horn, blasting out a message, the word. In the beginning was the word. That's a freaking trumpet right there. I mean, you've got the very first representation of A. Actually, if you go back into Chaldean or Hebrew stuff, we've got this symbol right here. And that, my friends, is the bullhead. So that's why in the beginning, if you look, let's see, I've got a nice reference right here.
Hold on really quickly. Well, I just want to reference in the chat that they're talking about how the Medea spells have been cast. Just to recall that we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Medea was a witch who created symbols in this same fashion, right? To make all of these symbols for kings to use as their, that's why logos are still the media. So if you spell media, yep, M-E-D-E-A, it refers back to, and that's where we get medicine, Mediterranean, etc. Right?
Yeah, and if you look on the maps too, they used to have instead of Persia, it would be Persia like Medea or Media. Whoever the Media family was, I mean, they're obviously still doing pretty good. I mean, they've got the world by the balls. I mean, but I really think the world's catching on. I really think a lot of people are. I mean, the TV age generation's really kind of dying out. To be honest, it's a little sad, but a lot of people don't go to cable news for their information anymore, so they realize they're losing certain easy ways of controlling the people, was mainly through TV. And now that they're losing that audience, it's kind of, they're trying all this other dumb shit. So, okay. Anyways, so right here I've got, it says, A. This is Dictionary of Astrology. Alan Leo. It's 1910 or so. Alan Leo's awesome worker of astrology. So, and this is a dictionary of all the terms. So he starts with the letter A. The first letter in the word astrology is the first letter in nearly all the word alphabets. Alf or Aleph. The first word of the Hebrew alphabet is symbolized by the bull and indicates that Taurus is the first of the zodiacal signs or constellations. A symbolizes the one or the eye. This letter has also some affinity with the moon, whose exaltation is the sign Taurus. So very much you have the bull's head right here. So if you look at the constellation Taurus, it takes this shape right here with its star system. Pleiades is also very close to this letter A, and this is when spring pops out. So this moment is very celebrated in the heavens. This would be when, I guess, the original system before we had precession of the equinoxes, we had one astrology where you could know and pass down the same information through generations, because we had a certain system we were living in that wasn't tampered with. And then what happened was, during that time, Taurus, this is also the symbol of the plow. If you look at this symbol, it shows you put a blade on the end of this right here, and you've got two handles, and you've got a plow system. So, and that brings food and life, and it's very much a starting object. So, but this is what that's constellation Taurus very much looks like right here. So to think of A and to think of Taurus is pretty neat. This just said that, which would make Taurus as the first of the zodiacal signs. And that puts us back with really making Aries more of a zero, making that first initial circle. Because remember, Aries starts at that 360 zenith position. So it goes around, makes a circle, bounces off itself when it conjuncts itself, and then casts an angle. And that's really the zero. That's in the 12. So, let me go back here. I want to real quick before we move on, get into the lowercase version of letter A, because I think that matters as well. And we've got one of the biggest key things to remember about A is you've got short A and you've got long A. So in the beginning was space and time. So short A is going to be space, long A is going to be time. So space extended is time. So you've got a whole linear line of space right here, which is pretty much going to lead into the third object, which is going to be movement. So you've got long A is why you've got father, Thor, really right there. So it's very much that long ah right there. Mama is two short A's. I mean, that's a center point. That's a space giver. That's why the female, we send stuff in the womb, and she's the space giver. She's the one that it grows in. She's the womb in, and it's a very much, the information seed comes from the male, and that's pretty much the plan. And we can get into the hidden story and all that.
The matrices is the womb.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yep. So lowercase, if you look right here, so let me do this nice and big. So lowercase a is a really, really neat symbol right here. So I noticed that it's almost a collection of three J's. So if you dissected the circle almost in half right there, you'd have one J, two J, and three J's right there. So very right away, J represents balance and evenness. So the fact that there's three of them tells me, right back to the three modes of expression, how the creator moves. When it fractals into a triple pattern. So you're not the expressive creator if you're not manifesting perfectly in all three conditions. So whether it's going to be action, feeling, and thought. So those three categories lining up is an act of the creator. That's why a trine is considered very sacred and something benefic, because it's something in all three modes of the same sign. So a trine, all three modes of water would be Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. You'd have planets in all three of those signs at your birth. You have a grand trine in water. And then depending upon where that's lining up with your cross, it can mean many, many things. But so the lowercase a, we very much, this is the feminine version of A. So the capital A, we've got the masculine version. So straight lines, the reason straight lines are masculine is because the father doesn't go around, he goes straight through. So there's just a direct path from A to B. Information. Think of light, think of just straight lines. There's now the female is curved, that's got the curved line. So the female goes around the male, so she is what provides the sound barrier. So very much that center point in the sun is going to be the male. That's going to be the sperm inside the egg. And then that circle around the edge is going to be the female. So this lowercase a right here is showing you a female, and you've almost got a tail. This is almost a sperm right here, or an egg. You could almost say it's an O for like an ovary. So you've very much got a beginning in many ways right here.
But she's got you've got like this, often the back of the A is like a straight line down, like a support stick.
Yeah, I know. So some like probably a proper one is like down here or something.
That's yeah, you're right. It looks much better when it's curved like that. It looks more. It looks correct. And also, what about the hat? Like, because women used to have to wear hats all the time, and so
right.
The A's had the old A's had a little tiny hat over the A.
Yeah, they did. And then you've also got, like, if we draw the A more proper, you'll notice right here, you've got the Aries symbol appearing. So remember the Aries symbol. Well, that's a horrible Aries symbol. I'm sorry. But you get the idea. So you've got that upside down right there. And then you've got it connected to a J, which is neat. And really that Aries symbol is two J's back to back. I don't know why I'm so fucking fascinated with those damn J's, but J interests me a lot. J's the 10th letter. J has been missing for a long time for some reason, like it's been directly kept away. And the sound of J is one of the oddest sounds the way they've told us to use it. Like if you look at the word engine, that should be where we use a J, engine. But it's not. We use a G there. G should be more of a G, like a inside. Anyways, we'll get to that. But we've got, so Aries goes back to A very much. And then
same with C though. For me, it's like you go to Europe and everyone uses K everywhere. And you're like, why do we do this?
Yeah.
Why do we have the C everywhere?
I know it. It's yeah, and it's depending upon where you go, you people will probably have a bunch of different connections too, and the own way that they use A, because A is very much dedicated to a certain type of A sound, depending upon what country or culture you're living in, and to say one's more proper over the other, I don't think is very fair. I think it's kind of beautiful to have many expressions of something and to have many flavors. So if everything was the same, creation would be pretty mundane and lame. So it's pretty awesome that we do have a very big variety. I don't think this big variety was always available. I think there are a lot of things of these times that are pretty special. Language is very slow. So it takes me a long time to get all these concepts out and to, mainly because I love to just go off on tangents and whatnot. But, if we were on a direct, I could send you all these thoughts, instantly. I mean, I feel like wherever we come from or whatever we are of our true essence is more of that flavor. So we have to almost learn how to be in this system. So we have to kind of do what we're doing. We need to break things down simply so we have an understanding. When you see a word with A in it, remember, in the beginning was the word. The word begins with sounds. So really, sounds make up a word. So what does that tell you then? It's telling you in the beginning was the arrangement of sound, which is the logos. So sound is before the word. The word is a collection of sounds, the collection of organized sounds, because you could just, and that wouldn't mean too much to a lot of people. But if you arranged them in a certain way that we all agreed upon them, we could start to get somewhere as a collective body or whatever. And that's why language has evolved the way it has evolved. It's very much our past system. So if you're going to understand your past, you need to understand its symbolism. And there's no better way to understand its symbolism than to just you and a piece of paper and the symbol and just working your way through it, one piece at a time. It's always good to know, like to bounce, to duplicate it, to inverse it, to mirror it on each other. You see where everything comes from. We're going to see that coming up in the other letters. It's insane what you can create with just a simple flip or a simple inverse with a letter. These are all these things that make up the letters come from either a pole, a circle, or a crescent. So you're pretty much looking at an arc of a circle, a crescent, or you're looking at a pole, or you're looking at the whole circle. And that's really what the whole letter system is made up of. So that's why when we go to break a letter down, we break it down on the cross. We break it down on that quadrant system that we are here on, because that's where sound impregnates into here. And if you're going to know what things are here, you need to put it as it appears. So let me see if we've covered. I think we've hit A pretty good here.
Yeah, now a very special letter. Are we doing B or?
I think we're going to be moving on to B here. Let me just.
B. I mean, someone was saying we're
right.
like the wildest version of Sesame Street right now.
I know. I was thinking that too, like earlier. Man, this would be quite the Sesame Street episode, wouldn't it? Yeah. All really other stuff I had. I had the points of a crown. If you look at the Corona Borealis, it's got the letter A's in it. That's why that is a crown constellation. And also for its area of space too, why they dedicate it to the crown and to the corona, which is why we're going through the coronavirus right now. It's an attack on our crown system. It's as without, so within. Those stars that you look up at are inside of you too. And Jupiter and Saturn, if they're conjuncting right there, they're conjuncting in you too. So that all of that stuff, if there's a full moon, there's a full moon in you. We're all looking at ourselves every day. And, that's why right in the beginning it says, use the heavens for signs. I mean, what do we use signs for when we drive down the road? They give us directions, they give us warnings. I mean, they tell us stuff. I mean, that's our information system, I guess. So that's why it really much begins in the stars. If anybody ever did anything for themselves, go back to scratch and zero. Just going right to the stars is a real good place to begin. Going right to sound, going right to just pure symbols. I mean, and working your way from whatever area of interest you're in. I mean,
Share just brought up a good one, which is pints and quarts. Someone says, mind your P's and Q's. And one of the stories, at least I've heard, is that it was about students at the end of the semester in the 1800s. They would have a bill for their bar tab, and they would have to remember their pints and quarts, like to remember.
No way, how many they had. Yeah. That's funny. And I think this is a quart jar right here. Yeah.
Good guys. Yeah, quarts are decent. I mean, people really, the quarts the way to go.
Let me pick up my marker here. All right. Let me see here. Let's break into B. I think we've probably hammered home. Yeah, we're about an hour in. So let me jump into B. So right away, I apologize for my awesome handwriting here. It's obviously not very proportional, but you get the idea. We're trying to go with a B. So one of the first things I always notice when I'm working with B is I've got a 13 right there. I've also got a connection from Aries again coming in. I've got a bird right here. So I've got a bird flying. I've also got two bar magnets connecting to a pole. So I've got two magnets right here connecting to a pole. What is a B? When we go to make a B sound with our mouth, buh, buh, where is that forming? Buh. That's it's out front. And what is it doing? It's almost building a body of pressure. And then it's kind of buh, and it's popping it a little bit, but it's only going to pop it if you're just saying B. If you're saying it with another word, the rest of the word is going to fill that pressure area at the end of either a B or a D. Letters that have those properties of a B, like getting a pressure start to it and then pushing out, and its sound comes through the release. So 13 is a prime number. So that's kind of huge. 13 is very much, in my opinion, it could be the prime number of our system. So 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 is very much a big part of our system here. If you look at our seasons, we have 4 seasons. You're looking at the division of the circle into quarters. That word again, core, tors. Tor once again is a cross. It's a best friend. It's a best friend to light. Light makes that choice, drops a sound body, it goes to a tor, it goes to a cross somewhere. When it crosses, you're doing something electromagnetically to create a standing wave. So you've got this field of sine waves, and then you've got, I guess, potential particles that can be built. The only thing, in my opinion, that ever really gets built are things that come in from the word, which is, there's 2 voices that come into every human. The voice from the future or the outside or the environment that you can see with your sense system. This is your set of probabilities built up upon the other voice, which is your past, and that's inside. And that's everything that has happened, and all of the ancestors and everything in your blood. You've got those 2 voices kind of meeting up here, creating a standing wave. So you can never have the now without having those 2 voices kind of marry right there in that one moment of the now. So, and that's why there's only one now, but there's it's almost like that's the center point. If you look at the number 8, that point where the 2 circles meet right there is that center point that's creating this it's like a double bubble system. It's like these 2 hemispheres. You've got a northern bubble with this certain magnetic flavoring, and it exists within a southern bubble. So the southern bubble, in my opinion, would be a bigger pressure bubble that a smaller north bubble, probably pushes up in the center, is probably what's happening. I mean, I don't know. It's too hard to tell anymore. I'm just kind of sick of guessing. But so we've got 2 letter D's right away. So D is through. So D is very much, when you get down to the core meaning of the letter D, its sound, everything it expresses, it's going to mean through. So it's a diameter of a circle. So you're going from this point to that point directly across in a straight line. So you've got 2 of those right here. Right away, I mean, if you turn this around, you've got hills, you've got, God, we all know what boobs look like. I mean, you've got milk, life coming out. So all of this symbol right here is very much symbolic of the body. So you've got a straight line, which is a pole, and then you've got curved lines right here. So you've got male and female occurring on the right side of the letter. Because if you put this in a circle right here, this pole is going to be on your meridian. So you're going to have this B occurring in let's see here. So we've got the first quadrant is going to be right there. So this is going to be house 1 through 3, 4 through 6. So you're very much looking at this would be its left and our right, because that's how things appear in a mirror. They appear in inverse. So right now I'm actually sitting on, I guess, what would seem to be the opposite side that the camera's picking up. It's, I don't know, kind of trips me out, but it's okay. That's just how things happen in a mirror. So this really appears to this, in reality, its true existence is going to be on the other side, and as it reflects into sound, it appears over here in this meridian. So this quadrant right here, and this quadrant right here, this quadrant, the first quadrant is going to be the individual. So house 1 through 3 is the individual. Houses 4 through 6 right here, this represents your home. So this represents very close things to you, very close relationships, brother, sister, mother, father. Very much after you have your own identity, you have your immediate environment, and that's house 4 through 6 right there. So the lower half of the B appearing to us is going to be right in that area right there. The upper half right here, this is the house of relationships. So the B in general, this body, this whole side is going to be spirit all. So this side to us, our visible right, is spirit all, because as you get over here on the left side, this is individual ego. So this is individual ego self. This is individual ego world right here. So this is you, and this is you in the world right here. So this is why the 11th house up there is the house of friends and whatnot. So what do we have happening? Let me scribble some of this out. So where does the B, it's not, a B is different from an R, they look different. So what does this mean that we have pretty much this pressure? Almost imagine this as like a black hole right here, getting sucked in. So this is creating an inside. So this is almost that first move of taking a breath, B, breath. So you've got an internal a suck in getting created right there. Because it's not a D, it's getting sucked in right there with a pressure system. So it's pulling in, and this happens right on the line between the 6th and the 7th house. This is a cardinal point. This is represented by first degree of Libra. Very close to where we are sidereally right now, because we're about almost to 8th degree of Libra right now sidereally. So this is the furthest away from the human, the self, the individual over here. So this point right here where the suck in happens, this is very much the furthest away. The Son of Man and the Son of God would be these 2 points right here. So very humanistic intellect, left brain, survival skill things over here. Your brain system, all your senses giving you information to your brain, right to your pineal. That would be your ascendant line right there. And then your first 3 houses would be your expression of the individual in action, in feeling, and then in thought. And then you're going to have over here, once again, where this pressure system happens is right on the line, 7th and 6th house, pretty much on the line of relationships. So that shows us right there. To me, a B at its most core, what it is it's a body. It's a home for light in space. So before light can even go into a body, there's got to be space for a body to be in. And then there needs to be this body there that can absorb light. So the B right here is exactly that. It's the body that absorbs light. So this is why B appears as the second situation in the alphabet, in the letter system. The fact that it's the second letter, it can show us something there. Aries as the first, that can show us something in the first position. Its connection, you've got the bird landing, the sideways bird flying in the air. What is it doing? It's perching. It's landing on a pole. I mean, it's touching down. So it's pretty much, I don't know, making a connection, grounding, making a body. So when you ground, you make that sound body, you're grounding to this system with your choice, with your will. We're all manifesting here via just pure sheer willpower. And we all hold our existence here through that. Every waking second is held by pure will because we all believe in it. And it's kind of neat. I mean, that kind of blows me away that it's pretty much all created through an expression of will. And once you get outside of that, you're just talking about the different ways you can shape and flavor willpower. I mean, because that's what we're all doing here. We're just manifesting via will. So let me show you some more about B here. Now, I forgot something about A real quick. I wanted to show you. If you can, let's see if I can get this close. But yeah, you can see it. If you see 4 of them like that right there, you've almost got the Malta cross or the German iron cross. That cross right there is actually representing where all the prime numbers occur at. Let me show you that real quick because I've got it right here. So on that system of 0 at the top of the clock, so you've got Here we go. So if you look, some of you have seen this before, but the prime numbers are going to occur, and I'm kind of trying to do this opposite, on that multi-cross. So you've got 1, and actually 1 is not a prime number because -1 times -1 can get you 1. So it can be factored by something other than itself because 1 is not -1. So that kind of throws this whole thing off, but let's go with 1 as a prime number. So pretty much if I can get it, you can see 5 appears there, 7 on the iron cross. You've got 11 and 13. Notice the numbers in between are not prime numbers. So that's all the field or the space. So you've got 17 and 19 over there right near the ascendant. Look at who's on the ascendant, 18. That's the 9 space in the middle. That's right where we play in the now, the seat of the now. And then look up top when you get to 0, 23 and 25 separate the 0, 24 mark right there. So where I have those X's, that makes the same letter A 4 times in a row. I just wanted to show you real quick before I miss that on A. All right, let me get back. All right, so B. Okay, so I like to break down what you can do with the shapes of each letter. So right away, the 2 parts that make up B, you can pretty much make an hourglass right there. So once again, that's a great example of time, a body. What do we have our body in? What do we have our light body in? We have it in time. You have it in something called time. Time is what impregnates space. There's a light bearer and then there's the light. So space is what's holding that light, and then light is the time itself. And that's what we all really want more of in the end. When you go to meet your maker, you're not going to ask for more gold or more silver or more Cheez-Its or more sex. You're going to probably want some more time. And you're going to probably get asked what you did with the time you had at that point. And, instead of giving a nice human answer with human words, it's probably just going to flash in a bunch of pictures and everything you've done with your time. And then you're probably going to judge yourself and see if you deserve more time. But before we get into all that kind of crap, we've got, you got the hourglass with B right here. So that's one thing you can get. You've also got, you can sandwich it on itself, and you can right back to the Pokemon ball, right back to the body, the 2 Ds. You've really almost got the 2 Ds back to back, making that diameter symbol again. We've got, let me just see if I can zoom in here. Yeah, here we go. So you can see right there, if you do them back to back, let's see if I can get this in right here. You've got that diamond, that star shape in the middle. So if you imagine the body of a star, when you look up, it could almost be sandwiched in between 2 Bs, 2 bodies. That's what could be pinching and making the light. If you look next to that symbol I just showed you on, I guess you're right. You've got the, I don't know what that symbol's called with the circle. It's almost like a power button, a circle on a pole. Phi, right? Yeah. That would be, obviously a symbol in nature, and I mean that would be the body of nature. Let's see here. We've got, if you notice the one right below that, like it's almost like a pair, what's the sun symbol called that it makes that shape? The parabola, or trying to think of the word. Whenever if you were to photograph it in the same spot through a year, it makes a certain shape, and it pretty much looks like that. So the body of our system. It looks like I got a couple different airy symbols off of it as well. Not sure where I was going there yet. If you inverse it on each other, which is neat, this one right down here, let's see if I can get it closer to the camera. God, this sucks. Sorry, guys. Yeah, right about right here near my finger down here. You can see it creates space in a box. So you very much got 2 circles in a set of squares, because the poles of the B are going to act like the pillars on each side. And then it's going to create 2 circles in the middle, and it's almost going to square 2 circles. So a B is very much it's a great one to have there for the second letter. If you look at PB, B is a lowercase b. We're going to get into that. So you've got pretty much right away, one thing I was thinking of is this inversed, you could get PB, which is lead, Saturn. So right away, the first body, ancient Saturn, you could, the whole turning lead to gold philosopher's stone story, it begins with 82, lead right there. So 3 steps down, which would be movement, would be to 79 gold. So I guess gold would be a little less dense than lead. But the lowercase b, you can get it can make many things. So we can go with, let me see here. Okay, yeah, so if you take the lowercase b and you mirror it on top of itself, you get back to the capital B. So it just stacks on itself. So it's almost like the lowercase b is just a literally halved capital B right there. Now, if you have, let me see here, where was I? Yep, so you can also get back to the PB situation. If you flip those around, I mean, that same lowercase b symbol, it can make 9 and 6, 69, the sex system, the body. And if you look at, if it making 96, to get to 100, you're missing that 4. You're missing 1/25th. That could be that tamper in there, the body. So we very much have, and you've got what's neat about the capital B and the lowercase b is that they're both appearing on the right side of the pole. So, and this is actually true with most of the shapes, do appear on the right side of the pole. The whole cast your net to the right situation, really in the end, that's neat, but are we talking about it's right or as it appears right? So you're still going to be just as lost if you don't figure out the perspective everything's talking from. So we've pretty much got right here, and the lowercase b2, you've got an inverse 9, an upside down 9 right there. It's almost like inverted geometry coming in, springing up everything, this whole entire system. Let's see here. I've got, okay, so we've got two 180-degree circles there. So 180 plus 180 is 360. So on the capital letter, we pretty much are back to the circle. We've got another 360-degree manifestation. Now, on our lowercase b, we have pretty much a 180. We have a half circle on a pole down there. So that lowercase b, both of them have male and feminine. They're both very similar. So that straight pole is going to be the male. That's the straight line. And of course, those curved lines right there are going to be your feminine aspects of the letter and of the sound, because this occurs in your mouth too. It's probably showing you, if it's got a pole like this, it's probably connected to the letter I, or pronounced E, and no shit, B. So it's all there. You just, when you look at it, it just shows you what its parts are, and you can't deny just the symbol itself. We're not allowed to, because it is what it is. And so let me see here. Let me see if we've touched on, if I've got any more. I'm really excited about C, so I'm kind of like, B's pretty huge. I mean, let me see what I've got written out right here. Yeah, we're good. We're going to move on to C. Okay. All right. Right away, I'm going to put the cross up so we can kind of get an idea of where C is occurring at. So to make a proper C, I kind of battled this. What I chose was something like this. That's not, let me take a little bit of that off there. That's kind of close. And so what I ended up seeing was the angle from here to here and the angle from here to here about probably it was more down to here. And then that angle right there. I had two quincunx or 150-degree angles. And 150-degree angles are the rarest angles out there. So if the proper C is more back, it's going to come out to two 120-degree angles. So, and it's honestly more of an oval versus a perfect circle. So if you think of like a cent sign, you know, you're looking at, I don't know, man, my writing's horrible. Let's see here. You've almost got more of an oval C. I mean, my extension on those is a little too high, but I don't think it's going to be quite a perfect circle. So when you get right down to the letter C, I mean, what is it right now? I mean, look at the sound. So there's many ways. C is very hidden. So C, I wrote down many ways. So we've got like the word charge. You know, you've got ch, and ch is a sugar. That's a starch right there. CH. So C can be like a food or a starch or a charge. You know, when you get down to it in the end, it's going to be a charge. It's going to be movement. It's the third letter. 3 is movement. 3 is that bird flying, right? The wings, the bird. Number 3 on its side is it's movement. It's how the creator moves. It moves in a 3 situation in all 3 aspects. So that's why the third letter is going to be a big indicator of movement and a charge. So what do we have? We have the space, we have the body, and then we've got that charge coming in. So it's almost like, once again, the battery's not included. That's come up. I just watched this the other night, so I love that movie. But the charge is going to be that battery coming in. So you've got now it's not going to be. It's going to be almost the way like that feminine style of magnetism, because this is a feminine letter. You've got it coming from a circle, and it's a certain arc of the circle. So it's not an O. It doesn't go all the way through. It stops up here in that relationship house and in the home house and on the all side of the chart. The ego and the identity side of the letter formation is all connected. It's all there. So, you know, what this is eating is going to be relationships. This is your relationship home right there. So this shows you right here, you know, think of being charged emotionally and, you know, fighting with your partner or something, and think of, you know, being highly charged, being able to eat something up in a bad way. You know, think of something having too much electricity running through a circuit. So it's not always a good thing, you know, but everything is going to require a charge in one way or another. It's how do you navigate that charge through. So you also have the peace sign occurring. You can see it right there, you know, with the arc off that C with this angle right here. So if it is a 150-degree angle and a 150-degree angle, that makes the C 300 degrees, which I also like because that's a 3 when you get down to the digital root, which is movement and the third letter again. Because if we went with 240, which would be a 120 and a 120 division on this, you'd be looking at, you know, a 6, which isn't too bad. It's 2 3s, you know, which would be nice in terms of the duality of the 2 3s, the 2 types of 3 coming in and moving. So, you know, we are very much in the 6 or sex system. And we'll kind of get to that too as we go here. Starting off, I didn't really tell everybody, but there was you know, also an important reason tonight. We're going to try to get through A, B, C, D, and E. And then this system right here, this represents the father. This represents, in its whole situation right here, this represents light. Okay. Now what we have here, after E, we get to F, J, K, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. And then you get L through Z. So Once again, the creator dividing itself in 3 different ways, splitting down the alphabet. I like this group. We've got a group of 5, we've got a group of 6, and then we've got a group of L through Z that I haven't counted out yet. So this group of 5 right here, you can very much look at that as almost the 5 initial senses coming in. So all your data coming in through that 5 sense system, that spirit, that light, the all father. This L system right here is where the feminine, where the logos, where light starts to absorb and organizing sound into the word. So right down here, you have the L through the Z. Z is, remember, that part at the end that we're pretty much, that's why we're down in the lowest form of density, probably in the trapezoid, and pretty much on the letter Z, which is a part, which is like a supercharge. A Z is a flash. It's like a real quick charge, like a lightning burst. So, hopefully we're not all on Z, but anyways, one of the reasons that you can know that the sound fuck is a holy sound, is a very sacred sound, is because of this right here. FGHIJK makes that sound fuck. Fuck. Right there. We have it. We have one vowel I in the center. FGH make the fuck sound. And then the uck or the ick is right here. IJK. So this is 6 letters right here. And we exist right here in the middle, in the mid L. So mid L. L is electricity. In between E and L right there, in between the middle, mid L, and between E and L, you have these letters. Fuck. This is the sex system. That's why there's 6 letters right there. So that's why F also starts as the 6th letter. So it starts as the sex. F means this. F means this. Pretty much just means, to me, it means this. So this represents the now. So this thing up here, A through E, mated with L through Z and created F through K. So that's pretty much what's going on with A through Z, in my opinion. So that's why tonight we're going to try to get through the A through E, and then later on in some episodes, I think I might try to get F through K all in one, and then we'll break L through Z up in a couple different parts because that'll be more letters there. But real quick, we're on C. I'm going to get back to that, but you should know that the sound fuck, these are, sound doesn't care what you think about it. It really doesn't care what humans have come up with to say that it means. It's going to mean certain things and cause certain vibrations regardless of our opinions about it. So it's best that we probably in the end start dropping as many of our opinions as we can, and we just get back to the root of the sounds. And if we're going to place judgment and moral ethics on things, it should probably be on some other different categories. We should leave the symbols as they are, and definitely not judge them. And there's a huge movement on that. You've seen them try to, say only this group can use this symbol, and then we're going to ban this symbol here. We're going to go knock down this church because it's like a symbol war. So that's why it's good to break the symbols that we do use every single day down to an incredible degree so that we can really see what we're playing with. So when somebody utters a word to you and you look at the letters in the word, you can kind of actually come to know some things about what's really being uttered out there in a vibrational sound system, because it really matters what you say. Literally matters. It goes into a sound body. The things you say affect people. I can attest to that. My words might be great sometimes, but they can also get me in quite a bit of trouble. So that critical eye of judgment that can break things down can also, hurt people by, picking it apart. And it's just, the voice is it's a very powerful tool. It goes to the unseen things. So when you speak, you're going to somebody's areas that you can't see with your areas that you can't see. and you guys, you're in your circle and they're in theirs, and you're creating a circle between each other with these words, and that's the medium that you're using. And that's the only way you can connect the unseen systems right now. I mean, there's obviously direct, electromagnetic frequencies in people's fields. You can just feel things when people walk in the door. You can look at somebody and know everything about them based upon one thing. I mean, there's a lot of other ways of observing besides talking, but when you get right down to it, speaking, the ability to speak, and just the creation behind it, it's one of the one of the most beautiful systems we have to play with. It's really the creator's expression of itself. I mean, in this system, from this perspective, and it has to come from the heart. That's where it's supposed to come from in the end. You're supposed to grow to a state where you're always speaking from your heart. And that's why it says in the Bible, it's not that which goeth in you that defileth you, it's that which cometh out. Because that which goeth in you goes to the belly. I think this is all in Matthew 10 or 16:10 or something like that. But the belly can handle anything. That's why the coronavirus, which isn't even real, that can go in you, and the Bible says it can't affect you. It says it's not that which goes in you that defileth you, it's that which cometh out of you. So your perception of the coronavirus is that which can defileth you, that fear that you cause. Your perception of, I guess, eating 5 cheeseburgers a day from McDonald's is bad for me is probably what's bad for you. I mean, I'm sure the 5 cheeseburgers from McDonald's a day, are probably doing some pretty horrible things too, without, regardless of your belief. But I mean, in the end, the most critical element is going to be what you think about it. So it's all going to be the placebo effect. I mean, it's what it all comes down to. It's all sprung from your will or your belief. That those are kind of on one axis, and it also is tied into the desire system, because mainly you don't always go what you believe in. I believe it would be healthy to eat this apple. However, I'm going to have this blueberry muffin over here instead. There's me going against something I probably know that would be better for my situation, and I'm probably putting in something that probably shouldn't be in there. And you can see how the desire system can get in the way of the will choice making system. So, all right, letter C. Anyways, so we'll get to kind of all that, but F through K, that's where you're at. F is the ground, K is above. So our feet are on F, above our heads is K, and we're in the L through the Z. I mean, that's the logos. The design system is that absorbs A through E, and we're the expression of it. So F through K is how the sex appears. So it comes out in an F through a K pattern. You're on a certain bandwidth right there of F through K. That's why the government owns a certain set of frequencies of the band available, because we don't have an infinite band available here, because we're not perceiving an infinite band. We're perceiving a restricted band. So we have to fight for a restricted wavelength space. So, you can push your own self out of that band too. It's available. I mean, light is special. This is just a vehicle for your light. So you can hone, your cup, and you can make it so when your light comes in, it can have access to everything that's available with the cup, instead of just the ability to watch a TV or to, put food in your mouth. I mean, it's tough. I work, I look at disability forms all day with my work situation, and pretty much I get a lot of the times on the forms, there's this section where you can check off things that you either can or you can't do, or that can cause struggle or pain because of your disabilities. And pretty much the only thing that people ever check off that they can do is feed themselves and manage money. I mean, it's almost like, I mean, we pretty much have a qualified world of people that can be money managers, that can just eat food or something. I mean, I know that's one slice of the population of disability forms that I see, but it's just sad, you know. I mean, there's sections where you can write out what you do in your typical day. 95% of what people write down, what they do in their typical day, it mostly is watching TV. There's a section you can write your hobbies down. Once again, watching TV. Like, what the hell are we here for? Well, we're not here to watch TV. I mean, we're here to adore the creation around us. We're here to love it. We're here to discover ourselves through all these awesome ways we can discover ourselves. All right, let's get back to C. All right, so I found out something really cool with C when I was kind of meditating over it and breaking it down. So check this out. If you've got a C, and then if you put another C on it, let me just do it backwards right here, okay? Check this out. Remember, C is the third letter, okay? C is movement. So far we have space and we have a body, and now we've got movement. So really, what is movement? Movement is breath. So the first movement was the breath. So what do we breathe? Pretty much we're on a system where carbon dioxide, or CO2, and I guess oxygen are just trading places in and out of the system. So the letter C, when it's mirrored on itself, just one simple flip of two crescences, you can see CO2 right in it. So you've got the original C that you use, two of them nonetheless on the CO2, right? You use two C's to make this symbol. And you've got the O in the center right here. Yeah, it's more of an eyeball or an oval, but you draw the C right, you'll get the O. And then you've also got, you can see the number 2. You can actually see two 2's right here. You've got a 2 right here, and you've got a 2 right there. You know, I know you can write a 2 like this. Some people write a 2 like that. This has got the classic, I remember writing 2's like that as a kid. You know, right there, it's almost like Saturn's hook coming with a shadow line on the bottom. So the C inversed on itself, just like the A. What did the A give us? The A gave us the Star of David and the Seal of Solomon. What did B give us? B gave us two hemispheres of space, two circles in a box, like a digital 8 square box. It gave two round circles. And now C, this gives us CO2, pretty much, carbon dioxide. So I thought that was really interesting with C. You can see the 2, you can see the O, and you can see the C, and you can see that it stacked on itself is really speaking to CO2, which could be a big part of movement, breath, and it could have been that first creation right there, because coming up D, you know, you're looking at more of something towards an O. You know, it's carbon dioxide is that broken circle. So it's almost like the letter C is coming from a circle that is missing a chunk. So I guess that's where we get the C carbon, and it dies the oxide. So the O is the oxide that dies by losing a little chunk, and you end up with the letter C. The chunk's missing, and you've got a charge, a free radical, a movement. You've got breath. You've probably got carbon dioxide when a charge duplicates itself and does something in nature. And whatever the plant kingdom is probably the keepers of those secrets. All right, so I thought that was really awesome with the letter C. Let me see here. You've also got, that pattern we just had up, let's see, this gives you right here the DNA helix. So, you know, if you stack a bunch of these on top of each other, you're going to get that double helix, you know, which is really just a bunch of Vesica Pisces. So you're pretty much, you've got a sphere this way, you've got a sphere that way, and you've got a marrying right here in the middle, and we're going to call that whole strand of them lined up and down on our meridian, we're going to call that DNA or blood. And really, that's just where these circles are marrying these circles. And we're creating this eyeball thing here in the middle of this circle. So you very much got a chain, or which is another C word. Um, any word that you see with C in it, you can know that that part of the word is speaking to something that we've discovered here with C. It's some kind of charge, any kind of word that'll have C in it, that C is going to almost be like a bolt of energy, or a kind of a zap, or like a wake up, or a movement, or a breath, or a flip, like a changeover in magnetism. Something's changing. The circle's getting cut. The sickle's coming in and it's chopping a piece out of that circle, and we're going to be left with part of the circle, which is a charge. So C is very much a charge, very much so. So we've got, let's see here. Okay, so I did different things it could mean. So I've obviously the biggest thing I had was a charge, and then if you think of character, that's got char actor, so you're like a charge actor. You're the one controlling the charge. I've got very much, I wrote down circuit with a charge in parentheses. So, and then I had cut. So how did we get the C? We cut the circle, cut, it put a charge in the circuit. And then the letter C itself, SEA, is pronounced C. So very much we can make an extension to the word SEA and the word SEE. So we can go swim in the sea, we can see things. So that sound right there, C, is important. And the sounds, there's going to be original sounds with this. I don't have them 100% worked out. The way that we use C in American English everyday use is probably not correct. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. C is a very tricky letter. It's one of the hardest letters to pin down on in terms of, because it doesn't like to act on its own. It likes to work with other letters.
I like what you said, that the word C has no C in it. I mean, come on, guys. You can't trust the letter C. It's just not trustworthy.
Right. I know.
A bunch of different in Europe, everything is K or S, except for there are C's. With like Eastern European C's, you've got different kinds of C's with lines over the C's, accenting them to make a ch or a ts or all these different.
Absolutely. So we've got, I mean, the ocean sea, you would have, what makes the sea a sea would be the salt in the water. That salt is very much the ocean itself. It's acting like a capacitor, so it's holding a charge. So all those cut off circles are pretty much what we call the sea, which is this charged alchemical fornax pit that we're sitting in. And that salt water is almost like a giant capacitor for this system. It's holding a very big charge. So we've got, and then if you think of SEE, just seeing things, it's very important when a charge happens, when that first movement of the sending of an electric charge happens, you can see it. So we're talking about the point from A and B are probably going to happen outside of the visible spectrum. C is where you're first going to see things. So C, you don't really see a dead body walking around. You see a body with a charge inside of it walking around. So that's when you first start seeing things, is when they have a charge in them, when the batteries are included with them. You also, if you turn it on your side, you have an ear, you've got pretty much, I can see an ear. You put it upside down, that's not a C. You put it upside down, you've almost got like a bar magnet again, pulling in a charge right there. I mean, you've got, you put it up like this, it's a cup. What can a charge do? It can, hold light, so it's a charge flipped on its back. It's very much a holder of light. It's got this ability to hold on to something, and it's electric. Boogie, boogie, boogie back. Let's see here. So I've also got it for I really like CH as a central component to C. I think C and H is very much hell. Hell is where we are. So remember, on that fuck system, you've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. So H is in the middle of the mid L, in between E and L, in that section, F through K. In the middle of that is the H. So that's why we're in hell, according at least to the Bach Saga, and probably many other pagan and heathen traditions. That's supposed to be a holy word, right? You can say help, heal. I mean, it's hell. I guess the saga says there's only one word out of 70 or 63 English words in the dictionary that are bad, and it's because the Vatican put a bad concept on hell because they didn't want us to think the name of our system when we found out its true echoes. Right, Helsinki, yeah, Finland. Yep. Because and there were big attacks on Helsinki to pretty much sink that place. And yeah, so C is very attached to a charge in this system. You're very much when you see that, you're looking at a sugar, a starch. Starch has the word star in it.
The word help,
Yep.
because the P is, yeah.
I mean,
we'll go into that later.
That's life right there. I mean, help right there. How do you get help? By attaching the letter P. P is if you were to spell that sound out, you'd have P-I, like pie. We pronounce it pie, but the correct pronunciation of that lowercase I would be an E, a double E, lowercase E sound. And it's help. A P, add some life to hell. That's how you help this place. You add some pie, some pretty much Peter, and that's my name. You bring P to the Tor, to the cross, you bring some life here. We help this place out. We get the hell out of here. Well, I guess we stay the hell here. I don't know. Anyways, so CH, a charge connected to the system of hell. So a sugar. If you look at the Milky Way galaxy, we've got, that's the milk and the honey. The honey is the starch, and the milk is the lact. So you've got, this is one side. The C represents that sugar almost, that cosmic sugar. So let me see what else I got here, and then we'll press on past C, get into some D here. Chi, that CH was important. If you just add an I right there, you've got chi. It's a very sacred, C high, right? I mean, you want the high up charge. You want that part of that fine essence of the magnetism. You don't want the dense electric shit that can shock you down here in the human world. You want the fine parts of, which is the chi. That upper, the E is the center. That's the center top. The E is the quickest sound. So that's how you can know that you're messing with something very sacred, is when you're talking about the quickest sound. So the very fastest thing that is in the world of the unseen is represented by this I guess is what or lowercase I, that point with the dot. So that would be center of that symbol, which is the sun. And then remember how that A, the top of it's invisible, and you don't actually see the equilateral triangle up top, which is the missing eye of the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill? Well, it starts right there. And that's the letter I inside of a circle right there. That's the ascendant. This is why looking at birth charts, your ascendant degree is going to be that single degree that's connected to, I guess, your pineal gland. So that's going to be your seat of consciousness, is going to be the ascendant spot, where the 12th house and the first house kiss on the eastern horizon. The east winds are represented by dry winds. So dry winds coming in are like that dry dust. Remember, we're created from the dust. So that dust are those charged particles coming in. And then, from the east, we go to the south position. So these charged particles would warm up, go to high noon, and then we would go down to Set or 7 or Libra or reflection over here. And then once you get over here, this represents wetness. So that's why western winds represent winds with water inside of them. That's why southern winds represent winds with heat in them. And that's why eastern represent dry winds. So dry winds of the new day, of the sun rising, pushing dry winds across. Northern winds, cold, opposite of heat up top. Dry, opposite of wet across. Anyways, let's see here. We've got, oh yeah, 2 back-to-back C's. Well, that's not supposed to be there. Let's just make that one line. You've pretty much got, if you cross it on a cross section, you've got 2 Aries symbols, or you've got 4 J's back to back inverted on each other. So once again, that J, which is really just an arc of a circle, and you know that J missing arc is awfully close to the missing arc piece that you would use to complete the C that's missing. So that chunk of the C that got cut is very close to that portion right there. So that could be a big part of the Christ story, of the Jesus story. If you add the J, or which is really the missing part of the charge, you complete the circuit. So it's a neat play on that. And really that's one of the horns of Aries. So that's not the whole set. It looks like the right horn, at least the one I circled there. But everything in balance. You don't just want the left or the right in the end. Okay, 4 C's inverse the other way. So you could get a C, a C, a C, a C, and you get an 8. So once again, we're probably right here in that C. On our system, this point would be represented by Bermuda. So Bermuda would sit in between the 2 hemispheres, and I guess that's why the Bermuda Triangle would be an odd place. You're almost going from a whole different declination to another within the space of a very tiny area, and that's why you get time anomalies here. Anyways, the letter C is also very representative of the crescent moon. So you can know that the C is very symbolic of a crescent, and that the moon itself, what a crescent represents 2 objects. So in the beginning, if you've just got the circle, you've got one object right here, and that's the proper symbol for it right there, because in order to have an object, you need to have an inner and an outer, because you wouldn't have an actual object with just an inner or just an outer. You would have just one side or the other. So to have an inner and an outer is the symbol of the sun. That's why we're inside the body of the sun, and we exist in on one of its orbiting solar things in here. So we are a certain layer, a certain circle, or an area of density on its inside. So we give, really what we do is Mars is to our outside. So really our job here on this system right here is to send the energy that we're getting. It's not our job to create the energy. It's our job to receive the energy and to send it to the muscle. That's pretty much what our job is. And that is a very important job, because that's the choice maker. You have to decide which muscles, which actions to do as a human. So we receive that cosmic charge, and then you make a choice. So that's why this is the choice system, the now. That's one backwards, WON, like you won. You know, you're all done. You can put your shit down. You won. You good job. You know, and then that's ONE, one, like the one system, because there's only one now. That's it. There's only ever going to be one now. You've got one past, you've got one now, and you've got many futures. And that's the fleur-de-lis symbol right there. You've got the one, and then the many futures out here that are based upon this and this. So you've got a straight line, and you've got man-e. So the fact that the word man is in there should be a big sign that there are many futures, but that's not, might be the future that you want to go on. You might want to be on the one future, the one system. So this right here, this man-e, springs from whatever the center choice is, whatever that center executive choice maker is choosing is going to be a result of what the many possibilities are going to be, or the man E. So the E that man gets to make choices with is all going to depend upon the word. So literally the future that you're trying to build, if it's not aligned with that one word, it's going to be one of the many possibilities, that were a possibility, but they didn't matter. The fact that they didn't matter is because they weren't lined up with the one, the now. The now dictates the current. Every single day, every single time that sun comes up, you get a new word, you get a new day. That's why day rhymes with say. And that's why year has the word ear in it, because the year is a collection of days, and it listens to all the different sounds, all the different says. It collects all those. And that's what all these charges are. So the moon, getting back to this represents an eclipsed object over there. That's why the crescent moon, how do we know? How do we know really what a moon is, what a moon represents? We can know by where we are, what our moon is supposed to be doing. Regardless if you believe there's a fake moon up there or a real moon, you're still going to have to get down to what is a moon. So there's whatever a moon is, there's got to be a moon there, or we wouldn't have a sound barrier. A moon is a sound barrier. A moon is a water circle. So a water circle, nothing holds light better than water. You look at whales talking undersea for thousands of miles. And what does that tell you about light, electricity, water, and it's as a medium? Works pretty good. So we're probably in a giant air bubble inside of a water bubble. And that's probably why the vertebrate system goes from fish to bird to animal to human and makes those jumps. I'm not a big pusher of evolution or anything like that, but I am a big pusher of this grew from this and this grew from that. And I don't care whatever other stories we want to attach to things. We can just know certain principles that in the beginning, it looks like we had a fish, and then it looks like this system had a bird. And then it looks like we've got animal, and then we've got this really advanced vertebrae right here, which is going to be human. So, and honestly, to say it's advanced over others is quite silly, because you can't compare a human system to a dolphin or a whale. I mean, I guess those would be high fish systems, but probably because they're the damn originals. Probably because they have the biggest Akash and the biggest set of collective data in their electricity reservoirs. So, I mean, and you're only going to be tied to all these human words that we say. These go into the human story. They don't go in the whale story. Our actions on the whales go into the whale story and part of their physical part of their story. But our words and stuff like that, they don't go into the language of the whales book. Those are separate books. So you'd have to go play whale for a while and actually check that out and, get down with the whale sounds and what it means to be a whale and what your purpose is and what you're here to hold on the planet. And then, what the hell else is out there in the universe. But I'm not going to play Whale Planet Possibilities with you. All right, let me see if we're good. Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you on the eights. If you look at the C that makes the 4 C's. So how many? It took 4 C's to make that symbol. So if you look at the sound 4 C's, you can get 4C. You can get force. So both of these, a charge, it's like a force. Remember, to see, when you get a charge, you get something appearing in sound world. Something's charged, it's got light in it. So you can foresee it. The number 4 also in C. It's on the cross, it's light, it's charged, you can see it, foresee, to see the future. So those are pretty neat words there. I'd say 4 C's, but I think the myth goes we got 7 C's. So we can always talk about the 7 C's Italian seasoning as well on that. But we're not going. All right. So go ahead, bud.
Well, just the Holy See, right? Because you've got the seas, but then those who've sailed the 7 seas, the Vatican with their Holy See, and that's S.
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, I guess we're supposed to get through 2 more letters here if we can. Let's get into D. D's pretty awesome. Right away, Well, let's make that a little darker. There we go. Okay. D, for me, it's one of the most simple letters to understand. Let's start out with the sound duh. That's with a, I guess, a DA or a DE. Di with a DI, do with a DU or O, do. So you've got the D in the beginning. What is that sound doing? Once again, it's similar to B. It's out front in your mouth. It's creating a pressure pocket, a bubble. It's creating, instead of B, remember that B is creating a pressure pocket, but what is it doing? That pinch of your lips is splitting that D into two, and it's sucking it into the middle right there, because we talked about that, where that happened at in the seventh house, when terms when you break it down on the cross. So it's like the suck in from the all that gives you a body or a breath. So D is very much, it doesn't have that suck in the middle. It's just a straight out pressure system. So if you look at what this is showing you, the diameter of a circle, and more specifically, if this were on the cross right here, you'd be once again looking at our right and its left. So this represents, there's no line that goes in between here for this fall aspect of the cross. So it's ignored. It's a pure on the right side, and it's coming through. So through means like this. So we've got, and you're somewhere and you're making a move and you're busting through some kind of pressure bubble and it pops. And now once you've done this, when this pop happens, you've popped into some kind of body. And when you're in this body right here, you can't see this world anymore. You can only see forward, out that way. You can't see back inside where you popped from. So D through is the diameter 180-degree position of a circle. So it's the furthest away from where the circle chose to start at. It's the complete opposite. So that D sound, what it does is it builds up a pressure bubble, and then it pops it from the tip in the center and goes straight out. So it goes to its furthest extension on the circle, it pops, and it makes a new bubble. Okay, you've got D. And then whatever kind of consonants and other vowels are also attached to D right there are going to be that new body that we're popping in with. Duck, die, death, dingo. All these sounds, they're describing certain characteristics of the all coming in. And to break down each letter and each one of those words, you can know kind of what it's showing you in terms of a set of meanings coming in to mean one word. So, and that's in the end how you're going to end up knowing what any one word is by knowing what each letter is. And hey, these 4 letters are in that word. Oh, look, they're in this specific order right here. Okay, what could that mean? This is what society tells me it means, but this is probably what it's showing me that it's actually contains within itself. So what are you going to trust in the end? Are you going to trust the object itself and let it speak to you? Or are you going to just believe what people have told you about stuff? I mean, we've seen where that's gotten us. So it's just good to, break all this stuff down as much as you can, and just play with it. I mean, these are all sacred objects. Every one of these are a sacred object. In the very end, in the very beginning, when you go to meet whatever it is that you are when you're not here, you're going to have this moment of choosing to pick a medium to communicate in. And if you were to choose this right here, letters and human sounds, you would at least want to have a correct meaning of them if you're going to use that. So you're definitely not going to want to say something that you don't mean. Of course, you do speak mainly through intention in other ways, and there's many other things that color what you're trying to say, but to expose your unknowing of what you're actually using is just not very flattering for yourself. It's kind of just selling yourself short. It shows that you didn't take the time to actually look at the objects when you were playing at recess. You jumped on the swing, you couldn't tell me if it had chains or ropes, and it's not all about being a super aware human and seeing every tiny thing. And, we're all here for very, very different reasons. And, and thank God too, because if I knew anybody close to me or like me, I probably wouldn't get along with them too well, just out of you're doing the same exact thing I'm doing. I'm gonna have to change up probably what I'm doing just based upon that, so we can both contribute something different. Which, so we don't need two people's names on that in the book of life doing this or that. It's the whole point of the book of life is to fill it up, and it's a never ending book. So if you're just regurgitating things other people are doing and you're not tackling anything on your own, in the end, you're just selling your own creation short, and you're just preaching their creation, which is okay. I mean, there's good to support. It's great, but you definitely gotta have, we all have our own nature gifts in there. And it's a shame if you spent this time here and you didn't come to find your nature gifts. So it's just important that we all try to do that. We all have different nature gifts. Right away, there's a big thing happening here with a lowercase d. So this is the first letter. All right, we'll take it. So this is the first letter where when it transitions from a capital letter to a lowercase, it changes its polarity in terms of the side of the meridian that it's on. So if you'll notice the D, it's once again on the right, R left. But when you go to the lowercase, it transitions over here. So it's very interesting because B doesn't do that. A lot of our other letters, when we look at them, it seems when they make their step down, they do it on the same side. So what that tells me about this letter right here is it's almost like going from either I guess if the capital D on the right side, we're looking at our right, our visible right is cast your net to the right. It's going to be the hidden male. The left is the visible feminine. So in terms of visible reality, this lowercase d is what you would see, but the capital system is the invisible system. That's why in the court of law, they're using all the capital letters, they're using all this invisible spell work system, literally, in order to execute your will at the end, right? So these capital letters are your willpower, your unseen choice-making ability. So that's why they always go with the capital letter system, because that's the highest authority that connects to the point of the one. Everything else that's below is on the two-bar system everywhere. And not all letters come from one point. Letters that have a bar down them. Remember B has a bar down and it had that E or that I pole sound in it. Well, no surprise here, we've got the bar and it's pronounced D. It's got the same E sound. You can, when you just pronounce the letter itself, you're looking at the letter D. When you just pronounce that letter right there, you're looking at the letter P. And once again, we have this I-beam pole that's pronounced E. So you can know things by breaking down the letters and seeing what they have on them. So the lowercase d, the reason this is kind of interesting is because we're going from a diameter or half of a circle. We're switching sides, and we've now contained an unbroken circle pretty much over here, because I guess you would have a smaller d, but we don't really write like that. It comes out to be just about a circle down there. We're really looking at the transition from a higher cosmic unseen diameter of the Father. And when it makes its move into the lowercase, we're looking at a visible feminine circle on a pole. So, and it's neat. It's the only letter that probably, I'm trying to think, that might do this. And D is that diameter through. So it's neat that throughness changes sides. Like when you put something in you and or through you, some kind of food or something, you know, when you create that inside and that outside, you can almost see you're coming through the other side when it goes from the capital into the lower visible nature. Because that whole entire, and the letter A does that too. It drops down and it has a circle on it at that point. Um, but yeah, I just thought that was neat, the fact that it switches polarities. A lot of the other letters don't do that. All right, so also we have the D on its side. We've got the sun rising. So each day that we have is a new day coming through. So we're going through a new area of space, pretty much. That's what we're going through. That's each day is this new sound coming in. It's it's this new flavor. When you wake up in the morning, you're kind of uppity, you know. I mean, if you're like me, I don't really drink coffee anymore, but drinking coffee used to be one of my favorite parts of the day. Check out, you know, what's going on with some friends and stuff. And it's just that new day. You got energy. It's this new flavor. What are you going to do today? You're impregnated with this sense of newness, like this new sound. You know, what happened yesterday, you know, it matters, but really not too bad because it was yesterday. It's behind you now. You shouldn't ever worry about yesterday or the future because that distracts you from the now. To play with possibilities, you're wasting away the now. To worry about the past, you're wasting away the now. So it's very good to stay, yeah, that's it, one now right there. I mean, it's kind of inverse on itself. It's probably a good old Native American word too. But yeah, I mean, it's you don't want to distract yourself from that each new day, each new through. So on its side, you've got it coming through. You know, if you flip it up on the other side, it's almost like a cup again, you know, kind of with a roof on it. You know, really, 1D, I look at D as one dome. So one area of pressure. So one hemisphere. So remember, B is almost going to be our Earth's body. That's got two hemispheres. It's a body. It has that suck in down into Bermuda in the center. A D is probably what the B exists in. So right there, you've got each new day coming in, and then it's getting sucked in to where we are with our body. So it's a very good way to look at it. And then we've got D as the fourth letter. So D is going to be a big representation of the cross. So I think if you take, let me see here. So if you do 4 Ds, check this out. So you've got 1D. Let's just do 2 Ds, 3 Ds, and then 4 Ds across the top. Okay, so a really neat thing here is that whether you have 3 or 4 Ds, you get the same symbol, which is pretty damn awesome. So you can make that symbol right there with 3 Ds. If you kept the pattern going, the 4th D just overlaps the sky right here that you already had in from D1 and D3. So this symbol in itself contains, it's one symbol for 2 different manifestations of D. This creates the cross right here. D creates the seasons. It shows you right here, we get 4 new major movements through to us. You know, we got spring, summer, fall, winter. These are all our cardinal points right there. You know, you got winter, spring, summer, fall. 4 Ds. So what does this create right here? Well, it creates the next letter. Right here, you've got the 5th. So to get to the 5th, you need pretty much the 4 Ds. 4th dimensional, right? 4D would be that time or that mental element, and then to stop time into its center, into its now, and to realize it for what it is, you would create that pyramid to the 5th. So you go from a plane existence right here on the 4 points, you're on a cross, where you're on a surface, you're on a plane, you're in a circle, you're in a snake eating its tail in a sound barrier. The only way to get out of that bad boy is to go right to the center, because the center takes you up and out, or it takes you down and in. It can go, it's got both ways. There's a big missing black hole in the middle right there. There's a big donut hole. And this represents the north. This represents the south. So this is where all the heat generation comes from, out here. And mainly it comes from right here on your zenith. Everywhere around the earth, it doesn't matter. When you get to high noon, you're actually not at the hottest part of the day, but technically you are. And then when it slips the next 3 to 4 hours, you're just kind of, that heat's just kind of building up a little bit more. And then, so really typically that Leo 2 to 4 p.m. is the hottest part of the day, but the noon, it's going to be the home of the most light, and heat. It's where it all comes from. That's why June 21st lines us up on the summer solstice in the north, because the whole story is about the north, because there's only one center to an object. You can have all the land in the system is around the center, and you've got the North Pole. You've got Finland on this line lining up with the meridian of the system itself. And if you look at the word fin, if you look how fins form on animals or fish, I guess, you can see how it centers up a body part and gives lift or rise and allows for movement in water. And if you look at the word infinite, it can tell it's got the word fin in it, it's got night in it, it's got in, so it's inside, night, fin, this thing. I mean, you can know quite a bit. So this area right here is very much that infinite now space of the center. The whole entire outside south, this is your membrane. This is where all the real grounding or the real information comes from, spirit, out here. This is where we get things sent into us from. And then this is the unique identity. This is the 13, or the prime node of this system. So wherever we are, we're not in the field, we're actually on a node. So the only things that don't exist that aren't the field. Remember, if you're in the field, that means you're not the field. You're actually in the field. You're the object in the field. The only things that are the objects are the things that aren't the field, which, if you look at that prime number system, it's the things in between that multi-cross. That's the field holding the object there. So this represents, our North system represents our prime number object of this system. So the sacred uniqueness of this entire system that we're in is really dedicated to whatever our north position is. This is our raised up center point that comes to the one. All the life trickles down from here. All the fresh water comes out from these areas of the north. All these cold lands get mountains, and they trickle down all the way. That's how you get mud floods from up top here. And this center ring doesn't always have ice around it either. When we go through different times and different positions, and especially, supposedly the age of Aquarius and heaven on earth and Capricorn coming up, we should be hitting a point where all the ice goes away in the center, and we get this period of pretty much this growth all the way up to through the north. And then this is going to supposed to expose new soil. Just, it's supposed to be 4,000 and something years of gentleness and calmness. And then we get back into, once we hit Sagittarius, unmutable fire on the other side, is when we go out of heaven on earth and we drop back into our new sound body. So really, on this side of the mountain, going up into the heaven on earth, we're doing our expression of our will right now. We're choosing where this mountaintop is going to be. That's why we're getting so heavily attacked right now during these times, is because they're attacking our will. They're attacking our ability to make choices. They do not want us to have any kind of willpower. The whole goal of this whole entire thing is to get them to give up your choices and whatnot. That's their goal. Is they don't want you doing what your job is here, which is to do. you're the chooser. You choose where the electricity goes. You connect it to the muscle, which is the Mars, which is also connected to the 12 movements of the zodiac, the animal body, which is all movement. Just like you have a certain type of animal movement inside of you that comes from the zodiac, from your position. My tropical position is bull, so I mean, and my sidereal is Aries. So either way you look at it, you know, I can be an asshole, or I can be a compassionate leader, or I can be stubborn, you know. But what are you stubborn in? You know, are you stubborn in good things? You know, that can be a good tool to have then, you know. But are you stuck in horrible ways? Then it might be a little rough to be a stubborn person if you're not stubborn in the right things. To be stubborn in truth, you know, that's a pretty good trait, you know, I'd say, to stand up for. I mean, because what does any of this matter in the end? What you stand for is the only thing that matters, because that's what you're going to have, is your set of values in the end, based upon the set of choices that you made. So, all right, let's get back to D here. So 4 Ds right there. That makes the cross. So, and that's the 4 movements through our 4 seasons. You know, we've got 4 flavors. It makes this cross that we play on. This is very much in the Bible when Christ says to pick up your cross and carry it if you want to follow me. You know, don't do all this stuff. Just pick up your cross. That's understanding your stars. That's understanding your signs right there. That's knowing where your positions are, you know, where your weaknesses are, you know, knowing what you came here to work on, knowing it's just, and it's all available to all of us. They really try to hide it a lot nowadays with removing the birth time from a lot of people's birth charts and what, or I'm sorry, birth certificates. And it really depends upon what country and whatnot you were born in and where you were born. Even in the US, I see a lot of birth certificates in my job, and 80–90% of them nowadays don't have times on them. So it might be from around the area of the US I work, where they don't really do it too much, Indiana, Ohio Valley, and Kentucky and whatnot. But I remember when I was born up in New Hampshire, everybody had their time stamped to the minute on their birth certificate. So, and I know a lot of other people do as well. When I think I was talking with 13th Monkey and some others. Netherlands, they do it, I know, but it's important. If you don't know your minute and your hour when you got here, you're not going to be able to know your moon, which is critical. That's how you absorb sound. That's your sound barrier. I mean, you're not going to know your moon. Your Mercury and Venus are going to be off. The most critical point is your ascendant, you know, which, you know, each minute is 3 seconds long. So every 3 seconds, you've got a new minute hitting that. There's 60 minutes in a degree. There's 360 degrees in the circle. So our day consists of the 360 degrees. Each degree itself consists of 3, I guess, every 20, let's see here. So 4 minutes equals a degree, because every 30 seconds is going to tick off a 3 times 20, which is a minute. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying there, but so each it's important. If you don't know it, you can't know your ascendant. You can't really know your moon. You can't know your Venus and your Mercury or your Vulcan. So that's information you could have that you don't. So it's always good, if you don't know your birth time, try to talk to your family if you can and figure out about what time you were born. You know, it's just vital. You're going to need it someday if you ever are going to look at your stars. So just start knowing it now. All right, let's see here. So this D, let's finish up on this. This line is very much the meridian. And if you break the word meridian down, that's the Mary, D, Ann. Ann is the anode. You know, D is through. Mary, you know, that's the whole point of that fuck system right there in the middle with those 6 letters. And 6, of course, is the carbon, you know, the crystalline hex system right there. That freaking, yeah, silica from carbon. I mean, they overlay each other. I guarantee you in the end, that's going to be the move that discovers the new power centers that come out are going to be from unlocking the potential of silica, because silica and carbon have a they can almost mirror onto each other in so many different situations. So all of our working systems that fire off of carbon and its carbon-based structure can easily be replicated with silica coming in, and silica has, you know, times 1,000, 10,000 more of the power packed in with each point of it. So I don't even know where that came from, but there it is. All right, so this very much, this first movement here is this D. You know, before this we had A, B, and C. So we've got this point of this meridian created. So when that through movement happened, you created a male and a female. You created an inner and an outer. So that's why this transition, it might go to the other side on the feminine side. So you started potentially with that light, you know, and then it got absorbed, and then this feminine body. That's why if you're like anything like me, you were born of a woman on this planet. So we all come from this lowercase d, from the big D, and we all know who has the big D, right? Yeah, that's Dad. So yeah. Anyways, let me see if we got anything else on D here. There's quite a bit, you know. It's oh yeah, I was outside when I was doing this, and a butterfly landed right near me, and I noticed right away it had its wings up like this. Well, more like that, like a quarter, and then it unfolded its wings into the letter D. So, I mean, nature, you can see these shapes everywhere. I mean, it's right here, 2/4. I mean, and this is exactly when I was looking at this butterfly, I'm like, that's just a fancy D with color on it and, you know, some different shit going on here. I mean, that's all it was, and it was pretty awesome. I mean, you can see that butterfly wing is made up of a D folded half on itself like that. So you've almost got, and if you think of what a butterfly it is, it's a caterpillar transition into a butterfly. Something's coming through to a new thing. And yeah, I don't know. It's pretty neat. So butterfly, it's letter D right on it. Let's see here if we want to hit anything else. D. I don't really think so. All right, let's get to the last letter here because we're working on 2 hours and 36 minutes here. So we're about on schedule, though. I mean, these, you could really go far into each one of these letters. So we're really just kind of skimming them, getting some basic concepts of what these letters are. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the web on it, but it seems like everything that is out there is really just, if your name starts with the letter A, you're this kind of person and that. And I mean, we got to break down the mark of these, look at how it appears in sound. Where is it happening in our mouth? You know, is it, we're coming from our throat as a vowel? I mean, these are all parts of the letters and the symbols and the sacredness of them. So right away, we've got, for E, we've got a capital E and a lowercase e here. One of the first things I can't help but notice every time I see capital E is it reminds me of the end of Neptune's fork. Okay, so this is very much a tuning fork right here. E is the 5th letter. Okay, so once again, moving from the 4 to the 5, how you get there is through the pyramid. So you go from that square or that circle and quarter it, make its cross, go to its center point, and then you cause north and south declination on a plane, which means you get an actual object. This is why I want to have E as energy. So energy and charge, they seem kind of similar, but I don't think they are. I look at C more as movement. So charge is movement. When you charge forward, right? E in itself would be pure energy. So energy, it doesn't have to move. It can sit down if it wants. It can be still. You know, it's charging as it is moving. There is movement being caused. E in itself, the 5th letter, you know, we very much get the 5 senses coming in. We get energy appearing. So our 5 senses are built. The 5th letter, we get these 5 ways of receiving energy inside of us. That all are dedicated and go to the brain, which is going to be into the 6 and 7 system inside of us coming up. So this E right here, right away on the capital capital letter, you've got all straight lines, unseen, on the right side, masculine. This, you've got a center bar, and what do you know? It's got the E sound in it. I mean, it's anytime you see this this bar right here, I mean, that E sound is that double E lowercase, like that capital I sound it's probably hidden in its original meaning. So it all starts there, coming right down from the zenith. It shows you this is of duality. This is in the sound system. We're going to have a left and a right. So on the capital letter, the feminine is hidden. You don't see it here where you're at. You're here. You're on visible world over here on the left side. And over here is the unseen. This is why most of your capital letters, they're appearing on this side. F coming up is on that. They're all on this side. They go to the right. You can't see them. They're coming from the world of the unseen into the seen. This is why your name on the birth certificate is mixed up of capital and lowercase letters. So you're going to be a mix of that active will going into the lowercase system that's visible. So this is why you capitalize the first letter of your name. And, it's going to lead off into this sound body right here. But it's going to be this expression of will leading into this sound. All right, so on the capital E, the top and the bottom bar are equal in length, okay? And they're pretty much, what we have here is a sounding fork, in my opinion. So this center line right here kind of does one of this shape. Let's see if I can get it. But you've got this ability to hold like a tuning fork. Something is bouncing off in between here, and this center point, this shorter hole in the center, is what's actually holding the charge. And this is why energy is energy, because energy is this raw vibration being held in space. So E, capital wise, you can see this happening right here in the center. So you've got a barrier right here, and then you've got where the magic is happening and being held right there. And then if you took this letter and you extended it out, what do you get? You get either a road or a graph of music. So this is where you would write your music, right? What do you need to put all that music into play? Energy. It's all energy. And when you organize it, it's harmony. And when it's perfect pitch harmony, it's of active beauty or whatever. So all of this is energy. So all of the notes and music, right, they kind of appear up and down like in a sine wave off this center line somewhere. You're either a quarter note, a whole note, a half note. I mean, I wish I was into music more, because my level of knowledge could just be even further, because music is very sacred and there's so much wisdom in it. But I haven't dedicated much time to breaking down music 100% yet. But I do know that the capital letter E relates to the graph in music. It relates to the road. So, where do you cross on the road? On the dotted line in the middle. This line isn't as long, so it shows you there's going to be a gap. So where are you allowed to pass? What is passing? Changing up and down, going across a lane. In terms of energy, that's declination. So north and south declination. So you can see that the energy kind of is balanced by this north and south declination breath that it holds inside the center right here. This right here would be the fall cross line arm, but cut off. So it doesn't go all the way to the end of the circle. So you've got a circle. This would be the meridian. So that's super sloppy. You've got pretty much a circle. And then you've got kind of like that, actually. So that would be neat if it goes out to the center, and these could be bars going outside the circle. It could show movement of this whole entire circle going that way. I mean, I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but I kind of like that. Either way, you got to do something with these bars to the E here. I mean, you can either make a bigger circle, if you make a bigger circle, you're going to end up with the E centered up in the circle, and you're going to have almost a rectangle appearing inside, which would be a cog or a keyhole, so, or a door. All right, so lowercase e, right away, you know, that's a math symbol too, right? I mean, energy has a value. Now, I'm not a physics major or a math major either there, or I don't have that going right now. I apologize, but E equals MC squared or whatever. I'm not a big, you know, into any of that either, but I just know that all of these symbols are very sacred, no matter what they're trying to do with them. E as energy right here. This symbol right here could also be a 9, a 6, or a G. So
I might interject. Actually, the thing I like about the E is its
it is
spiraling quality.
absolutely.
It has that.
This is a bigger,
and the, you know,
that's a bigger loop. So it's like a Fibonacci shell. Absolutely. So you have the spiral, and you also have, check this out, you have a balloon. Okay. This, now imagine a balloon with a string. How would you get a balloon to make that kind of movement? The only way that that kind of movement with a balloon and a string could be made is some kind of equal sucking motion to some kind of center. Okay, because if this was blowing in the wind this way, the tail would be out here. If this was getting sucked in, it would make that shape. So E in itself, in its lowercase form, if you're thinking of it, how is this movement being caused? You're very much looking at energy could be created by that sucking motion. So that, you know, if you look at how would we create a sucking motion? Through a spin. Okay, spin is going to have S. S means thing. S is a sine wave. So all things come to us on waves, and you pretty much pin them down. Okay, so spin. So you've got centrifugal and centripetal. Centripetal, P, life. So that spin going this way right here, that's going to create that life movement that we call life. So the other opposite direction is going to be the spiritual backspin, kind of like a rotor and a stator. So spin is this direction, and what it's doing, it's pinning down the things. So it's pinning down the S. S is thing, S pin. That spin is probably what's creating that suck or that E. So you need to be able to restrict to a center point, which is what our North Pole represents. So the spin, if we didn't have our spin or our day, we wouldn't have anything, because we wouldn't have anything pinned down here. The only way to pin something down to make it matter is to have a spin attached to it. I mean, that's the only way. If I was a creator, I mean, you'd play with the simple mechanisms first because they do the job. So you'd attach a spin to this thing. Now, a spin and a wobble are two different things. So if you look at that wobble, that back and forth is what's supposed to cause that season, as they say. So I know they say, so it's tough there, but I don't like getting into shapes and stuff too much, but I do know that there's a tilt. I do know that the sun, you know, pretty much hangs out at what, 23.5-degree arc from us, and it's almost like, yeah, I don't know. We're not going to get into all that. All right. Anyways, lowercase e. So right away, we also need to look at what is the correct way to, when you go to make letters, where do you start? Do you start, obviously I don't start an A like that from the point. I pretty much do one of those, probably like a lot of other people. Now, this might not be correct going from down, up, down. In the end, I think it really does matter. I think it is important. I don't think we're at a level where we need to care about those kind of particulars 100%. But now in E, I do know typically we start out with the inside and go to the outside. So what does that tell us in terms of that spiral that you had talked about, Andreas? We're going from the inner to the outer almost. So we're going from the tight packed inner reality, which is probably created from that spin, which is how you get E. Yep, embryo, exactly. That's it. And then you unpack it. So it's like you're unpacking a coil. And what does a coil do? A coil can hold up a charge. So when you get rid of the energy out of a coil, I mean, that's a lot of energy leaving right there. So it's going this way. And then if you look at this the way it comes out right here, it's you're almost got this you can look at it. The only way to get this movement right here is to have a North Pole system. So imagine this as, that's L, that's electricity right there, EL. So imagine it couldn't go through the pole, so it went up and then it went back down, it went up, went back down and out on the outside of the shell, went back up, could have morphed in. I mean, it's this infinite kind of loop within the loop. I mean, and that right there, if you had two of those back to back, let me see here, you'd almost have testicles. Yeah, E. Yeah, two of them right there. You'd also have, let's see, if you do these two right here, I think I was doing this earlier. If you do the, God, I'm not good at making these at all, but you've got the eyes. So this would be, you've pretty much got the eyes and the nose right here on that way back to back, and then facing each other. You've pretty much got the eyes and you're missing the mouth and the nose. So it's kind of got a very, the lowercase e, you can see the energy reflection on your face quite a bit. You have a lot of those shapes, around your eyes, like if I go this eye and then, you come down this cheek right here, we've all got those right there, those circles, and the temples on the sides of our heads are those center points, and they send them down the jaw, and it comes out your mouth right there. It's probably why your mouth jaw, it's got those E shapes in it right there. Let me see what else I want to hit with E here. Back to back E makes a pretty cool symbol. This symbol on its side is a pretty sacred symbol. So human, or if you've seen a lot of the plasma stuff where you get a reciprocating plasma image, it creates this image with, it's almost like a capital E, and typically it's shown like, I think like this right here, like with the two arms raised up or them raised down. And it reminds me of an H with a cross in the middle. So you've got hell, and then you've also got that north and south appearing in the middle of hell on the salt bridge. Now, real quick, back to the capital E itself. This letter is made up of 4 L's. So you've got if you cut it right there and right there, you've got an L there, L there, L there, L there. 4 corners makes 1 box. So all those right there would put you in a square or a cube. So an energetic cube. So you can very much see how this symbol broken down is 90-degree angles, energy. How do you get a brick of matter? You get it by sending something and then going perpendicular from that point when it makes contact and creating 90-degree angles. So it's almost like something's coming in and then it splashes right here. And then you've got these other 2 90-degree angles that get created right there. Right here, it splits into 2, and then this micro 2 splits into a macro 2 out here. So it's almost like it inverses into the environment. It's like I don't know. These letters you can know so much by playing with them. The capital E, once again, when we go from the big E to the lowercase e, we've got the same side of manifestation again. So it's not like this one flip-flops. We go from all straight lines to curved lines. And this is very much a C with a J. You've got, if you cut it right there, you've got a J right there, and then you've got a C. JC, Jesus Christ. So,
Put
I
it
mean,
there too.
what's that?
Put an Elohim there as well.
Oh yeah, yep. Once again, that L, back to that, and then you know what, Elohim, yep. And then
And
E,
if you look at some of these Etruscan words, like Latin and Etruscan can often be backwards.
right, and then
So you see
what
the
are you
I.
doing? You're lowering him, right? You're lowering him, Elohim.
This is one of the
So-
reasons I always like the Rastafarians, because they do the, you know, they don't, there's certain words that they have to say that you're never supposed to say we, because that's like you say I, and like you never understand anything because you could drown in understanding, so you have to overstand it. I overstanding. Like, I like their whole idea. Like, fix the
I do
language.
too. I think when you get right down to it, they come from a very heart-centered position, and that's really all of our goals. No matter what we're studying, what we're finding out, we're in the heart. You know, heart's an anagram for earth, also for hater, also for ether. I mean, for many things it looks like, but I mean, the heart, that compassionate action, Rastafarians, man, they kill that. That's when you get right down to it. That's what it's all about. That's where you want to speak from. That's where you want to make your actions from. That's where you want to think from. It's where you want to have your feeling and your consciousness from. Is all from your heart, and you know, not the pump in your chest either. It's not just about that spot right there. That's your pump system. I mean, that's your pretty much your center of your cross, your oil maker right there. I mean, it's where you're playing and making blood and breaking up water into hydrogen and oxygen, and we do neat things inside of us, and we know so little. We're kind of stuck out here on the outside trying to figure it out, but I don't know. I mean, we're all our best source. Each one of us are just our own key. You know, we all have light codes inside of us. You all came here to gather up your light codes and to, I mean, they're like little prizes at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box that you're trying to get to. I mean, we're all trying to get to the prizes we came to dig up, and the only way to really get through it is to work through it and whatnot. And it's a lot. It's quite a bit. I don't know. I think we're good tonight. We're hitting about 3 hours. It's about where
That's pretty epic. I mean, I do like that we did a number of the, you know, like the beginning of the alphabet. I think we can talk to each other in the Discord more about that. If you guys want, we can look into doing more of the letters.
Yep. Yeah, if people like it, you know, and we want to break down, we want to get in. I think the fuck system would be pretty important. Those 6, I think that would be pretty cool to look at those. In terms of the logos, L through Z, I mean, if people are enjoying it, you know, absolutely, we'll go for it. If we can get more people to chime in on it too. I know there's a lot of people out there that are really into pure symbology and what these things are broken down. So there's a lot of voices that would probably love to pitch in on it too, I'm sure.
Legit.
Yep.
All right, let me do a thing with my screen share to show people and a couple other things.
Yep, get that going.
Is that going to work yet? Piping through. No, remove that.
Let's see. I'm going to try to get a, while everyone's waiting, we'll try to see if we can get a sneaky shot of the squirrel.
Oh, yeah? All right, I'll go to that for a second.
Let's see here. Let me find the light. All right. Let's see.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Charlie the squirrel. Hey, buddy. Come here. Yeah, he's pretty tired, so this is his tired.
It's pretty late in the day.
Yeah, come here, buddy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, we're going on about a year with him. He's pretty awesome. he likes to, his favorite spot is his belly scratches, but at this time of night, he's pretty out of it. He's more of a day creature. His magnetism's pinging, but right now he's real tired. He gets a little nervous because he'll fall asleep real easy, and he likes to be in the comfort of his safe positions. Huh, buddy? Yes, we'll leave you alone. Oh, you. Yeah, he's lifting his leg up to get scratched. All right, we'll leave him alone. No use waking up that sleeping squirrel.
Well, I'll see about first thing I wanted to show. Well, I'll go back to the Discord again. Like, make sure you guys are checking out the Discord and having fun in the crackpot and the quackpot and some of the places where we're talking about some of the more interesting concepts. Because, yeah, obviously, I still think we're a bit more fun and ahead of the curve. So, but the other thing is, have you noticed that these videos get demonetized before they start? Isn't that a bummer?
Right.
Go to Reddit or whatever. I don't know if I'm telling you to trade cassette tapes and it's 2020 and there's some better things. Like, I don't know, like you're on Reddit /Tartaria, Xirtus Flight Series 1-up. You could up that. You could put some Tartary love into some random places. Hopefully, like Tartaria Uncovered, like 6.3K members. All these groups that are for whatever reason not watching the videos because YouTube's shutting them down. Let's start sharing the BitChute links and the YouTube links for sure, like so that we prove that it still exists. But it's like, yeah, I think that for the most part, we could probably be getting a bit more of this research shared with people, and that would probably be good for everybody.
Oh, it would, man. Absolutely. The more the merrier. I mean, it's everything that goes on in that server. I mean, it's wildfire material. I mean, it's every day, and any one of those channels, people are showing some pretty awesome things that are kind of just blow you away. I mean, we all kind of have our categories, and it seems like more and more we're kind of all blending our categories and we're learning each other's categories, which is nice because it's really enhancing all of our own beings at the same time too.
I mean, I was just seeing here in a lot of the groups, like that they've got the Mud Float on Facebook, the Reddit groups. They've been asking and people have been putting videos up on this stuff. Who's this again? This is John. Yeah, John Levi.
John Levi. Yeah.
I don't know when this video is made, to be fair, but like it's stuff that we've been talking about for quite a while. So, like it seems like get the stuff quicker if you want and put it out there faster. Share it with the world.
Right. Yeah, you've got. I was looking at your feed today on your video log, and you've got stuff like that back almost a couple years back when Tartaria was really first kicking off there. I'd say late, sometime in 2018, it was pretty hot where it was first coming out, and then I remember 2019, I ended up getting lost on the box saga, but I was still very much into Tartaria, and I still am. I think Tartaria holds a huge key. I think it kicked off.
Saga is a continuation, though, of that Slavic mysticism that is, whatever we're referring to the Glagolitic script, and like it is the key to it all. Like we can't exist without it for sure.
I know. Yeah, the deep North traditions are really going to be your traditions of the uniqueness of this system. So everything that this system represents, the further north you get in terms of the oral stories and just the myths and the symbols, you're getting a little bit more pure, because as you get out towards that south and the equator, you're getting into really man and the seed of creation. But when you get up to that north, you're getting into the unseen, the cold, the stillness, that point of the one. So yeah, man, it's hit us up on Discord, everybody. Come on in there. I mean, it's happening. I'd say every time I show up in there, which I love going in the mornings and the evenings, but I never see less than 10 or 15 people online chatting with each other right now. I mean, there's always good activity in each of the channels going down pretty much. So yeah, I mean, if you're not there, you're missing out. I mean, it's a different flavor when you can jump in and just go right on the radio with people and just chat and, I mean, break stuff down with your intuition right now. We've got people pulling up awesome live feeds all the time. Even if you want to you're kicking it and chatting with people, I mean, we've got tartar sauce running food around Chicago, fucking being a badass, and you can watch silly stuff like that, man. It's awesome. He's showing all the old buildings and stuff, and it's
Yeah,
cool, man. We have a good time.
the radio has video now, so that's a huge reason why it's super rad. But like in
Yep.
general, all you have to do, I mean, like you'll see at the top, we'd love some donations, but if you just ignore it, it's fine. You can click on Tartary Disco radio chat, get in that disco tech and hang out.
Disco.
It's pretty cool. I mean, like we have robots that play songs. Like you can play like YouTube videos, like while you're talking to people and review them. And yeah, the amount of research we're doing, I think it's still my favorite place.
I think it's legit. I mean, it's really one of the last kind of awesome nooks and crannies out there. I mean, I know there's probably a few here and there, but it seems like nowadays you really got to get away from those super mainstream places because they're just miserable to be around. I mean, I'm about Facebook free for almost a year, coming up at the end of December. I haven't been on my Raw Hand of God account since then. So
I hate it so much. Oh my god. I mean, Facebook is like, I do it for like the APM group trying to get things out there. And where's the again? Check out what they did to me. Where was it? Speakeasy I posted. This was so the people. I got 3 days of silencing for whatever reason because it's the weakest rules right before the election. But like at least people are saying like get them back on the platform. So
that's retarded. When is that? Did they just do that?
Yeah. It was like yesterday.
Golly.
It is.
Well, we'll hang on to this and we'll put it out on day 4.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll see what we can do. No, I think this video's live, buddy. They're all watching it.
Oh, nice. Cool. Awesome.
All right. Love you guys. And thanks a lot so much for coming, Petey, man. Peace.
Yeah, man. Andreas, I appreciate you having, and we'll feel it out, see what people think, and we'll get together and we'll hit the rest of these up, or we'll get a big round table going.
Yeah, guys, that was the other thing. We're going to do a round table soon. So we're going to record some of the Tartar and Nova and just put it on the stream next time. So we'll let you know when we're going to do that. I think it'll probably be maybe like tomorrow, the next day. We'll just get it going for fun. Cool. All right.
Woo! All right. Have a good one, man.
Peace, dude.
Peace,
Thanks
brother.
a lot.